Good afternoon. It is April the 25th, 1:01 p.m. here on the west coast of these United States of America. My name is Arthur. This is the Apologia Center live weekly call-in show, ladies and gentlemen, where you call in and we have discussions. That's the nature of it. So if you don't call in, we're not going to have discussions. We're not going to have fun. It's going to be boring. So hold yourself responsible. Call in. Let's have a blast. Let's enjoy ourselves. It is good weather. It's sunny. It's a bit hot in here. I didn't realize how hot it was. I came in there a bit late today and ran my air conditioner, but I'm feeling the studio lights as they were. So, what up, Alpha? How you doing, Pat? And Carl's in the house. What's up? I'm sure Carl is enjoying the sun today as he does most of the time. And everybody else, hit that like button. You guys, I got to commend you guys because I think you guys have become really, really good at hitting that like button. Because I am seeing very regularly the same amount of people that are in here we have the same amount of likes as the amount of people in here. Let's put it that way. Good afternoon, sunshine. How you doing? Jerome being a hater as always. What up, Jerome? Poll is non-existent. That's just not true. But you tend to not believe in things that actually exist. So what do you want me to do? That was a burn, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware. Daryl, how you doing? Arnold, what's going on, brother? It is never a bad thing. By the way, when you get into teaching, I shouldn't say you, like as in Jerome, but when one gets into teaching, one of the things that you realize, and specifically even after having kids, is that repetition is an extremely important part of teaching. Repetition is an extremely important part of teaching. I got to trim my beard a bit. What up, Buck? How you doing? Why is it in Genesis that it says, God said, let us create man in our image? Who is us? Very good question. We'll look at that. Buck, I'll pull up the passage right now. Let me actually open up my software, which I forgot to do. And then we will look at that, and then we'll look at the possible theories that are suggested, theorized by scholars, and then I'll give you what my opinion is. Very good question. Okay. Got that lined up. Let's go. Let's favoriting that. Nice shirt. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is the first time I'm wearing this shirt. It's got little flamingos on it. From far away, they look like random scribblings, but they're flamingos. Some helicopter activity happening above my office. Mr. Bunny is in the house. Hello, Mr. Saad Bunny. How you doing? I shall not shave my beard unless Jerome wins his bet. Well, you do realize when I shave my beard in like 4 days' time, it's back. I'm not angry. This is just my resting face. You should know above anyone else. So, no, I trying to distance myself from the computer. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but sitting-wise, like frame-wise, sort of trying to move away further, which means I'm further away from my computer. Now, there are a couple of options here. There's a number of things I can do. Number one, I get a big like 40-inch screen and I stick it on the wall and I get to see everything because, I wear glasses. That's one option. And then move my keyboard and stuff away. Okay. And be able to control all that stuff and, manage it. I'm always rearranging stuff. It's never settled, which is great. I mean, I don't mind that. The other one is I just keep it at this distance or get closer or something like that. But there's complications with essentially putting up a screen on the wall in regards to how many monitors my computer can handle and all that. So I say that because I'm looking at the computer from further away, which means I'm staring at it and it looks like I'm looking at it angry. You think the Torah was written by the Sumerians and that the Anunnaki stuff could be real? No, I do not think the Anunnaki stuff is real. I don't want to get into it. I did quite a bit of weird conspiracy nonsense. And was the Torah written by Sumerians? There's nothing I would say that is remotely close to suggesting that within the Torah. The only way you can get by those things, by the way, it's the same thing when it comes to the flat earth conversation. Okay? The only way somebody can actually believe in a flat earth is if they buy into a bunch of other conspiracy theories. Or if I want to be way more gracious than that, a bunch of other theories. So you gotta because typically if you sit down and have a conversation with someone who believes in a flat earth, the conversation is gonna be around something like, well, we got scientists, NASA, X, Y, and Z, and then they're gonna say, well, you shouldn't trust NASA because it's a part of the whole global conspiracy. Like, you gotta buy into these things in order for you to make sense of that. So I think when it comes to the Anunnaki sort of stuff, it's exactly the same thing. Okay. So I'm piling books next to me. This bugging me. I need leg room. So no Anunnaki. Pat says Nephilim yes, Anunnaki no. You guys can do the research and look that up. Well, Anunnaki can be mentioned. That doesn't mean the people interpreting them, like what they are actually right. Like, usually it's the Gaia folks, right? It's like the Gaia channel. At least that's where I see it quite a bit. Okay, let me answer this Genesis question, guys. Let's jump into the Genesis question because I think it's a good one. So let me pull up my screen here. Okay, so we are in Genesis chapter 1, okay? That's Genesis 1. The passage we're looking at is verse 26. Then God said, and that's Elohim. If what is happening here is in the plural, then this word is going to be plural because Elohim is a plural word. The singular, as you can tell, is El over here. So El would mean God. Elohim means God or deity, sometimes translated as gods as well, because it's plural. Now, this is common knowledge in regards to the use of Elohim. So then God said, so God is speaking here. It says, let us make man in our image. Man, that's humankind, by the way. The word here for man is Adam, which is what the name, the proper name of the man becomes. He's named Adam. So let us make man, Adam, or mankind, or humanity in our image, after our own likeness. So we're looking at these two words, our or three. There's a us there, right? So let us make man. Again, that's not a singular man. The word here is a plural word. Man here is a plural word. The Adam here is plural, or could be in the sense of mankind. Okay? In or after. Okay, you can see a comment there about Adam, like I explained. After our image, after our likeness. And let them, this is how we know this is mankind, let them, the humanity, have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, over the livestock, and over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So, God, there again, Elohim, created man in his own image. Now, that's interesting, right? Now it flips to God is still in the plural, but in his image, not in their image, nothing like that. It's his image. Now that's an interesting way of doing it. In his own image. Man, again, there is, let me see. So God created man, Adam there again, in his own image. In the image of God, he, not they, he created him. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Male and female, he created them. So these are very, very important here, okay? What's going on? So you get male and female here. So what's going on in this text? Okay, we're going to get to some of your comments, by the way. Well, what's going on in this text, in these two verses? Well, is there more than one God in the biblical accounting, right? Like, is God more than one? Some polytheistic thing going on. Well, no, that's very clear from the biblical text. The great Shema, so on and so forth. Like, it's just not the case. So who is this us? Let us make men in our image. I'm going to give you three theories here. Number one, the first theory is that this is what is commonly referred to as the plural majesty, meaning that it's the way you speak to majestic individuals and you use a plural. It's not necessarily literal, right? It's just a plural majesty. That's one opinion. Number two is what is commonly referred to as the divine counsel theory of this, or it could go by different names. The commentators here call this the heavenly hosts. Okay, there's God is with these heavenly hosts. Michael Heiser would classify them as these, what are commonly referred to as the sons of God. And he's speaking to them, and God says, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. That's one other theory. The other theory is, which has been kind of the historic Christian interpretation of this, is that this is the plurality of the Godhead. This is Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Okay, so those are the three theories. Number one, it's a divine majesty. Number two, it is God talking to the heavenly hosts. And it is number three, that this is about the Trinity. Okay. So which one? Which one would it be? Well, I think it could potentially be all of them. Number one, none of those are mutually exclusive per se. So could it be that God is talking to the divine council and saying, because he is a Trinity, let us make man in our image and our likeness? And as a matter of fact, be completely fine linguistically where this plural majesty is employed. I don't see any contradictions in holding all three of these views at once, which is where I tend to hold it, by the way, because I don't think they contradict. I can hold all three of them at once. They're not contradictory. What brings about kind of the contradictions amongst people is more of theology rather than like what the text says. So if somebody doesn't believe in the Trinity, they're going to come at it. They're not going to look at it from a Trinitarian perspective. And they're going to say, no, it's the, say, divine counsel. Now, my response to that would be, well, do we have any notions that we are also made in the image of angels or these divine counsel beings? No, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like we are made in the image of God, not them. The only way you could get around it is by claiming that those beings, those sons of God, are also made in the image of God. Say, cool, is there any evidence to support that they are made in the image of God? No, like I can't see of any kind of a reference to the creation of those things and them being in the image of God. If you guys have any references, let me know, then we can look at it. So I would prefer to think that this is God speaking within his Trinity, because I don't think even the divine majesty there, the plural majesty, changes anything anyways. So I don't have an issue saying this is a reference to the Trinitarian Godhead. And we are made in the image of God. We are made in the image of God. The image of God sometimes complicates and confuses people, but I think at the end of the day, the image of God means we are God's representatives, and we are to rule and reign over the creation that he has created, and we are to be good stewards over the creation he has created, which is where you get these things here, right? And I know that, by the way, I know that this is what that means, is the dominion kind of stuff from Psalm 8, because I think Psalm 8 is a commentary on Genesis 1, kind of a commentary / reflective psalm on Genesis 1. So I don't see why a Christian can't not logistically, I don't see why a Christian can't legitimately hold to a view that this is the Trinitarian God creating male and female in his image, creating them, which is why I pointed out 27 is so important. It doesn't say their image. I mean, textually, I would say the reference is to God's image that we are created, not God plus some others, which also this his own image defeats, I think, the view where it's just the plural majesty, like just that. It would defeat that, because here we get singular references to being created in the image of God. And this is all of humanity, by the way, male and female, created in his image, the whole family of the Adam. Does that answer your question, Buck? Again, what you do is try to develop it textually. You always want to develop these things textually. Muslims do pick on this. But so I've seen them pick on it in the Quran is regularly. By the way, the Quran regularly, Allah refers to himself as us in the plural majesty. Regularly, let us do that. Let us do that. Plural majesty would be a form of speech. Excuse me. It's a form of speech. So I keep thinking about it in the Armenian, is how we refer to like older people in the plural. So some languages have this built into them, where you're not talking like, so in Armenian, if I want to say something, if I want to ask a question to someone who's older than me and I respect, or someone who I just respect, it's a sign of respect, not necessarily older, a proper way to speak is to refer to them in the plural, which is duk. I don't say do. That's very rude. So I say Duke. So even if I'm asking, how are you doing? Right? I would say Duke Wonsek. Right? And just knowing the context there, I'm not talking about multiple people. But I could be referring to multiple people. That's the other thing. If there's 4 people sitting there, and they're all older, and I respect all of them, and I go to them and I say Duke Wonsek, that if you were just looking at that in literature, you could conclude there's multiple people sitting there. This is why I'm saying that it's not mutually exclusive to say this is plural majesty language, plus there's actually literally plural thing going on. Like, I think God in his Trinity could be saying, let us make man in our image, even if there's a divine counsel present. He's not saying let us in the sense of us, you guys included in this. He's saying let us, he within himself, the Trinity, and they're like spectators essentially, because we are not made in their image. I don't think those beings are in God's image. I think that'll create it'll create theological issues. I don't think we have anything in the Bible that suggests that. So I tend to hold to all 3 of them. Some would suggest that's how Nicodemus spoke with Jesus. We know that you are a teacher. That could be, yeah. I can see that. There you go. Yeah, I know Heiser's view. I just don't think Heiser's view mutually excludes it from the believing that's the Trinity. I think all 3 of these views are talking about different aspects of the same thing, and I just tend to say, well, you all seem right about it. I'm good with that. Wonder if any of you watched IP's debate that Muslim apologists on child marriage would make for somewhat decent content for Arthur to watch tomorrow. I think I might actually do that. I haven't watched those debates, but I actually might respond to not necessarily this one, but one of those. I was actually very interested to see Aaron Ra's debate with Tom Jump, because both those guys are atheists as far as I know, and they're talking about whether religion is good for society and stuff. So inspiring philosophy. Oh, man. How would you respond to Muslims arguing that Rebecca was 3 when Isaac married her? Based on what? I've never heard this argument before. Did he bring this up in this debate? So there's 4 debates in one day, and hey man, if you got a 3-year-old going to the well to get water that offers to like feed or give drink to your camel, that's a very intelligent 3-year-old and very strong. I've never heard of this conversation, by the way. I would just tell them they don't know what they're talking about. I pulled up the debate, by the way. This, by the way, I just saw the like little intro to the debate, and it looks like it's a firecracker. Leave it to a bunch of internet nerds, by the way, to look at the guy's laptop and be like, "Oh, it's a Predator." But he should have seen it coming. But Alpha, who have you heard this from? Publicly, who have you actually heard argue that Rebecca was 3 years old? Who? Like, I just don't even see. Sometimes you hear questions and you go, I can see how somebody would argue that. I can see how somebody would get there. Like, the story literally includes a woman going to the well to get water. Well, Muslims in Germany need to learn to read the Bible specifically. This is like the silliest thing. How to join call-in. It is pinned in the comment section. Yeah, I've heard the argument with Mary being young. Correct, but Rebecca being 3? I mean, literally, the text says, right, so Abraham is advanced in years, and let's see. Check this conversation out. Before he had finished speaking, behold, Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, the son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with a water jar on her shoulder. One second, okay? So on her shoulder, and the young woman was very attractive in appearance, a maiden whom no man had known. So she's a virgin. That's what it's saying. Or a woman of marriageable age. That's a maiden. She went down to the spring and filled her jar and came up. And then she offers water to the camels and stuff. And then she said, I will draw water for your camels also. That's a pretty insane 3-year-old. I don't know what to say when people say stuff like that. Sorry. Jonathan, how you doing?
Hello.
Yes.
What was she calling about? Can I talk about some? Is your subject or what?
Usually we discuss religion and Christianity specifically.
Okay. You got a question for me?
No, the way it works is that you guys call in with the questions or the conversation.
Okay. Nigger, 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 nigger.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Seems like we still have quite a bit of stupidity in people. Said if they read Muhammad in Song of Songs and John 14, they have no German. You're right. Hey, I doubt that guy was British, by the way. Yeah, I don't care who Pickle Rick is or whatever this is. I don't know who it is, but he's blocked now. Well, Jerome, you would hope so, right? You would hope so. This is going to be interesting. So this dude seems like he just wants to call in and with different names. I do try. Yeah, you're being nice. The funnies. With the fake, with the fake British accent. It's like, go and do something else with your day. lost brain cells, man. How did this like conversation? How do I even answer this question? Is Tucker Carlson a Christian? If he is, then no. If he ain't, then yes, until he becomes a Christian. Like this. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I know that. I know that. I think that's. Look, Jerome, I think that's exactly the reason why this person did what they did. See, that's what we call a real hater. You know, the individual who keeps calling. The OBS software you're using gives you away, regardless of whatever different name you call in with. Oh, man. Here's the thing. You put your face on the camera, I'll let you call in. One of the things is that people think they can say stuff like that and call in and act the way they do because it's easy to hide behind the camera. Put your face on the camera. You act in stupid ways, I'll plaster your entire existence on the internet for being like that. It's like the 5th time he's called in, guys. Chat, what do you guys think? Should I give him another chance? He's on the line right now. Should I give him another chance? Jerome says no. Saad says forgive him 77 times. Well, if your brother sins against you, then you forgive him. Not very sure in this situation. Lex says, no, don't give him another chance. He's clearly a troll. There's other Christians who are saying no, Jerome. Relax. Arnold says no. Doesn't seem like a person who should be taken seriously. So, since you don't seem like a person who should be taken seriously, okay, so here's the chat I just received from him. He says, "Sir, give me another chance. God does. I want to apologize. I really want to say sorry." I'm going to let my chat make the decision. Well, he's blocked in the chat, Arnold. Okay. Yeah, I just have a very low tolerance, obviously, for racism. So, Jackson, I'm not going to put a poll out there, but if you think I should give him a chance, weird apology, no need to put him on. Okay? I think that's done. Deanna, very good point. So, does he have any questions related to the topic or to the page, to our stream topic? Let me actually see here. I think there's something.
Hello, sir. I would just like to say
Yeah, we're not doing this. I think the chat has spoken. If you, let's see, you know what I'll do? I'll give him a chance this way. I'll go with what Arnold said. I will unban him. And if he wants to apologize, he can apologize in written form on the channel. But I'm not going to put you on. There's people I respect greatly in the chat who are saying no, so no. Well, we'll see what. Man, you like brimstone fire and stuff, huh? And he will throw them into the furnace of fire. In the place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Even racists can repent, by the way. I know. The mood is always right. There's no need to lighten moods, by the way. We're pretty easygoing, folks. His tolerance level is 0. We are doing well, Barrick. Thank you. What? Oh, sorry. I thought something else, Strom. Yeah. Well, I'm taking care of Twitch, and look, man, I'm bringing Twitch and YouTube together. You guys are going to become friends. I have the ability to do things like this. I believe in you guys. What do you think is the reason most Turks deny the Armenian genocide? I'm not very sure whether most Turks actually do deny the Armenian genocide. I actually don't think that's true. Turkish government denies the Armenian genocide. It just, here's why, by the way. I see a lot of Turks saying stuff like, good, I'm happy we killed them. That doesn't sound like a denial. Jackson said, wait, is this on Twitch as well? Yes, sir. Yes, it is. We live stream both places at the same time. Simultaneous broadcasts. Website tribalism. That's so sad. I want to know when the Bob. I don't want to mislead the conversation to somewhere. Have you been in Armenia recently? You know what I'm craving right now? Indian food. I don't know where that came from. Not even that hungry. I would like to have some Indian food. Wait. This dude that Inspiring Philosophy debated, is his channel is called The Muslim Skeptic? That's not. Skeptic towards what? Okay. Do you want to call in? Dude, call in. Let's talk. I sure hope you wouldn't. Oh, man, YouTube's going to come after me. I'll trim it out, guys. I'll trim it out. Go ahead, Jerome. Call in. Let's have a conversation about Jeff Durbin. Shame. Jerome, you're stepping out of line, man. I don't mind him calling his channel The Muslim Skeptic if he's actually a skeptic. But it doesn't seem like he is. Well, yeah. I mean, sure. If that's what they're saying. Well, I suppose it depends what you mean by biblical. Oh, what's up with you guys today? I do look, Carl. I do think it's sort of funny to me that people who refer to themselves as like skeptical use it in a way like intellectually they're more honest or something like that, but they're not claiming knowledge in those areas. Like I'm skeptical about everything, and it's just it's sort of hilarious to me. It's funny. What is your favorite Old Testament theophany of Jesus you like to use in apologetics to defend the deity of Christ? Why am I such a boring person? So, first and foremost, I think there's a big difference between theophanies and Christophanies. Number one. Number two, I think there are both Christophanies and theophanies in the Old Testament. An example would be, I think, what Abraham is experiencing in front of his tent is a theophany. What Daniel's friends are experiencing in the furnace is a Christophany. And I don't think there are many Christophanies in the Old Testament. What I would say is also, this is why I say, why am I so boring, is that I don't think I've ever used a Christophany to defend the deity of Christ. But my favorite Christophany is Jesus in the furnace, or the Son of Man in the furnace, or the one like the Son of the Gods in the furnace. Whoa. Relax, bro. Chill. Curious to what Jerome was talking about with regards to Jeff Durbin. I generally like how he talks about abortion. Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if Jerome actually called in and then he explained kind of what his issue was with Jeff Durbin. I have issues with Jeff Durbin and the way he has some of these conversations, but I'm not going to say it just yet. Greetings. Tend to observe, and it's pretty commonplace, that Durbin is a lot more winsome in personality than James White. Maybe so, maybe so. Been waiting for you to call in.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, hi. Hello. You right?
Yep. But I can't see you. It's all black and dark.
Oh,
It's okay.
that's kind of I mean, I can't be asked to turn my light on right now.
That's
So
okay.
it's
I know it's late.
almost 10:30. It's almost 10:15 actually. No, 10:15.
It's okay. We'll keep our voices down.
No, it's all good. It's all good. You you sounded like you're like trying to send a sub 10-year-old to sleep or something.
Oh, well, my family does have a bunch of young kids, so
Yeah, you have baby apologists walking around your house now.
well, first they got to become Christians, and then we'll talk about that.
Wait, hold on. What? They're not already? I thought they would have been.
No, no, I
Oh,
wouldn't
no,
think
no.
so. I don't think my kids. I'm not sure. I mean, it'll be very difficult. I mean, my 5-year-old just agrees with me on everything I say, so it's very difficult to determine whether he's legitimate in his confession of belief in Jesus.
Oh,
I'm not sure how much of that he can even conceptualize, even in the most
oh my!
simplest, even in the
This
most
this
simplest
joke
of conversations.
this joke is killing me. Another person has made a saint reference. Of course, the saint reference is.
Hey man, you're named like you don't
I'm
like it. You
so
got to change your name. Your
no. It's no. I
props to
like
your
my name.
mom.
It's
Props to
just.
your mom. Like you should tell her. There's a Christian guy on YouTube that really respects you and
I
honors
will
you.
never in my life not tell my mom that. That would be the longest conversation ever. No chance, dude. No, I'm just used to it. I feel like
I want
everybody I
to
know
test
has made this
something. Hey,
reference at
Jerome,
least
hang on. I
once.
want to test something. I want to see if your audio comes through without me splitting the screen. Okay, go ahead and
Oh,
talk. I think it comes
is it
through.
fine?
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
oh,
We can just
okay.
have your audio. Like I don't need to have half the screen dark and
Oh,
stuff.
cool, cool,
It
cool.
works.
Hmm. Yeah, I am British. Yes, I am. I
Well,
love being
sort
asked
of.
where I'm from.
Hey, sort of, kind of, right?
What kind of?
Well, it
What?
depends what you mean. Like ethnically.
Oh, well, the term British doesn't really signify a
That's
sort
true.
of skin color though. Like when somebody uses it, they're not really using it to describe like a white person, for example, which doesn't happen. Obviously, like there's different kinds of British person, so they'll just add qualifiers onto the beginning or the end of that word. They'll go like black British or white or something, you know.
Yeah, but I'm
So
not
there's
talking
these
about skin
examples.
color. That's I frankly don't care
Oh,
about that.
in terms of what then?
But your ethnicity goes back to Ethiopia, no?
Oh, right. Okay. I didn't think you were talking about that. I kind of like split that from like when someone asks me where I'm from, they have to um they have to qualify the question most of the time
Mm,
because most of the time I'll just say, "Oh, I'm from the UK," right?
yeah,
Um
which makes
but that's
sense.
because most people who ask me that are not from the UK, right? Like no one in the UK
Yeah,
has
they hear
asked me
your
where are you
accent and they're
from?
like,
Like yeah,
"Oh,
exactly. Like no
accent."
one's ever asked me that. You know? So um yeah, I usually just say I'm from the UK and that's about it. But someone asked me where like my parents are from, it'd be kind of easy to answer that question.
Interesting. Okay, so tell us about Jeff Durbin. You watched that
Yeah,
conversation.
I don't because so I don't get to watch your videos on Wednesdays because you stream at like 5 a.m. or something silly like that. So I
Sorry.
watched it maybe I think I watched it like 2 days after.
Mm,
And like it's quite fortunate for me because I spend most of my time doing reading for like university stuff, right? So I just have certain things on the background while I'm reading or making notes or whatever. But this kind of distracted me for about an hour because there was so much like weird stuff going on with that conversation.
hmm
Like for starters, I do not like the setting, right? Like the setting just bothers me.
That it's
It reminds me
outside.
too much. It reminds me too much of Speaker's Corner, and I've told you
Uh
about
huh.
why I hate that before. Um, so that's the first reason.
By the
I
way,
mean,
I've had phenomenal conversations on the street that were nothing like that,
I
or
understand
Speaker's
that.
Corner. But I've also had chaotic stuff like that. So
No.
it's sort of like YouTube.
I can't even think of words to describe. It's like YouTube. I can't even think of words to describe how I felt about that. It's just I
Do
don't know.
you
Like we've
think? Do you
spoken.
think? Let me ask you a question. Do you think Jeff Durbin was trying to be level-headed, and that lady, not that lady per se. I mean that lady too, but that dude was like just like over the top.
Um, uh,
He was the one cussing up a storm, and
Yeah, I spent most of the time thinking about like Jeff Durbin because he spoke for like he spent most of the time like out of all the things that was said, he said the most things of substance, right? Like the other two weren't were
Correct.
saying things that didn't have like much to do with what's going on.
Yeah.
From this is a few days ago, but like this is almost a week ago, but
Yeah.
um yeah, but like I'm not remembering it too well, but I was just focused on Durbin and how he was saying certain things. But yeah, I do remember them being uh, I don't want to say poor, but I'm gonna have to say poor when it comes
Yeah.
to how they were.
Like, again, because I've been in settings like that, and I've had conversations with folks like that.
Mhm.
When people
Uh,
are just being crude, what's another word I can say? Like just set over the top, and yeah. Like they don't want to have any kind of an intellectual conversation. They don't know how to separate a person from his views or her views. And I mean this like on all sides, by the way. Um, and they like immediately conclude that you're somehow like a bigot or chauvinist or something like that without actually looking at, hey, no, this person actually has legitimate arguments for X, Y, and Z. Even if I disagree with them, they whatever, they're deductively sound or something. I don't know. Then you get that. Then you get the cussing and just yelling and stuff. I personally think that Jeff Durbin, overall, from what I've seen from him, okay, um, in conversation with other people, he's very good. He keeps his cool. I think he has decent conversations with folks. There's lots of this stuff on the streets where he does this on college campuses and stuff like that. I think this conversation was, I think he cut them off quite a bit, in my opinion.
yeah, agreed.
I watched that there's another guy, there's like a progressive Christian guy that's like pro everything, let's just say, that went on their podcast. It was him and James White. And Jeff cut him off quite a bit as well. And James White just like sat there and then waited, and the guy talked, and James White would just respond. And he would make his points. I mean, it was a theological conversation. So since both folks claimed to be Christians, they were talking quite a bit about the Bible and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, I think Jeff was trying to keep his cool, but I do think initially, he cut them off quite a bit. I don't know whether he did anything like argumentation wise. It was like everywhere, and I think I would have liked to see him keep the topic, stay on topic.
Yeah, and it shifted around so many times as well.
Because it went from like abortion to LGBT stuff. It went to like being, I don't know, not letting kids have rights. Like it was everywhere.
Yeah, even though it probably should have stayed on abortion for most of it.
It should have.
I couldn't see towards the end, but at the very very end, there was a little poster behind the two people there, and it had it was obviously abortion related, so they were obviously there trying to convince people of like a pro-choice like outlook, right?
Correct.
So I guess like if he's there doing that, then surely that's what you stick to, right?
Yeah, but see, in America, it's weird, man. Americans are weird. You already know this, but like you and I've been in these conversations. So I will. So like I've started conversations on the same subject, and then it's immediately gone to like, you must be some chauvinist pig because you want to limit women's rights. So then the conversation shifts from being about, say, the sanctity of life or whether people should have a choice to do X, Y, and Z, like about persons, to being whether I'm like, I don't know, like equality between men and women. And it's like, well, that's not what we're talking about, right? They're completely different subjects, but Americans do that quite a bit. And I would say the ones that do it are the liberal ones that do it. They make that connection.
But if you're going to talk about like abortion, right? Like if you're convincing like like a set of politicians to make abortion illegal, if you think that having an access to some form of like abortion is a right, then like by implication, the person trying to make it illegal is taking away some of your rights, right? You might not agree with that, but like at least to them, like the connection is like not that stretched. Like it's not that much of a stretch to
Yeah, I mean,
to be
then
like, oh, you want to take
this,
people's rights away, right?
yeah, this is then it becomes the legal issue here, right?
Yeah, and
So
that's the point, I guess.
I mean, a simple question would be: are there rights that we shouldn't have?
Um, well, if there are rights that we shouldn't have, then they wouldn't be rights anymore.
Correct.
So
Yeah. So yeah, that's what the argument would be, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this isn't even a right we should have. It's if it's murder, then we shouldn't have the right to murder.
Yeah, but that's why, like, I don't blame people for saying that. But if you're gonna go up to somebody in an argument and be like, "Oh, you're trying to take my rights away," then I mean, like, that should have impact. Like, that should have no impact on anybody who's like arguing against you, right? Because they've already gone into that conversation with the mindset of being like, "I want to take this person's rights," right? Like in whatever form you want to put rights in. Like, if you want to air quote it or something, um like you're clearly trying to take that away. So when the woman or the guy there says you're trying to take like women's rights away, then I mean, like I don't want to say so, but like so what, right? Like that's the implication
Yeah, I
by
mean,
what Jeff
or the
and,
response
and it's
would be,
and it's not like Jeff Durbin cares, right? It's not like he's going to go around being like, or his audience is going to be, we're trying to take women's rights away. They believe that they shouldn't even have that right in the first place. So I
well,
don't
we
know why people
believe
say
that
that.
it's not a right to have because we shouldn't have the right to murder our babies.
Okay, fair enough. I should have been clearer.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's what it really comes down to, whether the child in the womb, okay, or I know people don't like saying that, but the fetus, which means baby anyways, but that thing in the womb, being overly gracious here, is a human being or not, and what qualifies for it. I mean, if that's a human being, then everything else by implication follows. We shouldn't murder babies. Like, or it's something like, it is never justifiable to murder a baby. Some kind of a principle like that, right? And like move on with the conversation. But generally it just turns into some other sort of a conversation. And I've just seen, again, because I've been on this side, in my conversation with pro-abortion folks, it used to actually, matter of fact, like in the mid 2000s, you would have a lot of people claiming that the child in the womb is not a child. I used to hear that a lot. Nowadays, people don't even care. They actually won't use that argument. They'll say, some of them actually will acknowledge it's a child. And they're just like, we should have the right to, like, it's permissible to kill our kids. I don't know whether it's the similar conversation in England. I'm pretty sure in England, the law is no abortions beyond 12 weeks, right?
It's time based.
It's 12 weeks, I think. It's like European, it's like other
for
European nations.
For some reason, I think it's
Might be 20.
I feel like it's 24. Let me look that up, actually. I used to be able to find this really easily.
I'm reading something right now. Let me see. "24, you're right.
Yeah.
So that the pregnancy has not exceeded its 24th week, that the continuance of the pregnancy would involve risk. There's like 4 conditions to British law on this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we had this in like philosophy class. We have like applied ethics, and this was one of
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
this is one of the topics that came up. I mean, I came on here to talk about like Durban, right? Like,
Sure,
I
sure,
don't know.
sure.
Like this is something that bothers me about I don't know. Like, I'm not sure if like non-theists do this, but like randomly, like an apologist will walk up to somebody, some random guy on the street, and then say things that they should like they know the person does is not aware of, but they'll just say it anyway. Like for example, right? He one time he accused them of like making an informal fallacy, right? I forgot which one it was, but he went up to them and he was like, "Did you realize you made X fallacy?" And I sat there thinking, do you actually think that this person understands what you're talking about, right? To me anyway, that just felt like some sort of like rhetorical shot to be like, oh, this person has no idea what they're talking about.
Hmm.
Um, that's what it felt like to me. Like I would never walk up to someone on the street and be like, "You made a fallacy of composition." Like, what am I saying that for? Like, there's no point. Like the person either understands what I'm talking about, which is not very many people, because not many people will even know what fallacies are, or they'll just like be like no, and then they'll continue to not have the conversation, and by that point, they were already like arguing with each other about like nonsense. So I don't know why he just felt like the need to do that.
So I
It was
think
really weird.
it
I don't know.
depends. In my experience, it's been like the way you deliver that. So I've said stuff like that on to people. Like, so someone's made let's just say somebody made a argument, and this has happened to me. A person makes an argument in which um, they make the genetic fallacy. They'll say something like, "Oh, you believe in God because you're just afraid to go to hell." Okay. And I say to them, "Hey, so depending on how I want to come about it, sometimes I'll name it, sometimes I won't. But I'll say, well, even if I am afraid to go to hell, and that's why I believe in God, does that somehow conclude that the belief in God is false?"
Yeah, just do that. Like
Right?
it's
Like,
not hard. Like simple.
it depends what the nature is and how somebody approaches it. Like if I've been on a university campus, I've actually said, hey, that commits the genetic fallacy. Now, context matters because I'm on a university campus and
Yeah,
I
fair enough.
expect people to be
No, but even
learning.
then,
You're
even
right. No,
then,
you're absolutely right.
even
Yeah.
then,
Even on a
like
university campus, people
and that's
don't.
and to be fair, like that's not like a slight on random university students, right? Because if I didn't like study philosophy, I'm not even too sure that I would know what like an
Yeah,
informal fallacy was.
well, that's the
Um,
problem with our education system, Jerome.
I knew you would say that.
I mean,
I knew
you
you would
would
say
agree
that.
with me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to not learn about it because of the classes I've been to in school and university and all that. But like, let's say somebody was just doing, I don't even know. Let's say somebody was trying to become a doctor, right?
Hmm.
And they went into university for that. Like I do not think that that person should be expected to know what like informal fallacies are. Like, not my name, definitely not by name. Like, not in the way that Durban presented it to him.
Yeah.
Um, at least like by like how they don't work in just normal language, right? Um, so I don't really have much like respect for people who go around saying you committed a random fallacy. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
really
don't know
really
whether
strange.
I don't listen to Jeff Durbin on the regular, so I should say that.
That
Um,
is the second time I'd even heard of him. The first time I'd heard of him was years and years ago on uh which channel was it? I'm not too sure, but it was an atheist who was critiquing him, but I
mm.
forgot.
Yeah, so I'm not sure whether he does that all the time. Number one, I should say that. Um, so like I don't have the proper I don't know data size or something like that to make a decision. Number two, I think there are situations in which you can. Now you can do that if it's a debate. I don't see why you can't do that.
Yeah, but that clearly wasn't one, right? Not definitely not a formal
Yeah,
one.
I mean, if people are if they're accusing you and stuff like that, and generally for me, like the age of the individual matters. I'm talking to. The other thing that matters if the individual is like ridiculously cocky and they're just making these statements like they know what they're talking about. Sometimes I might actually come at them with the actual like terms, just to prove a point.
Yeah, but I just don't feel the need to do that though. To be
That's
honest,
fine. But you're
it
just
just seems a
like,
bit weird.
you're soft. No, I'm playing. No, I really am. I'm joking. Look, I
To
just
be honest, that actually might be a good criticism. To be honest, that might be true.
look. I would say I would say I'm a natural born, if I can use that kind of language, natural born teacher. Whenever I'm having conversations with people, I take on the role, and this becomes complicated in relationships, but I take on the role of a teacher, generally speaking. So I almost always assume the person in front of me doesn't know what I'm talking about. Not like they're stupid or anything. Like if I'm using terminology and it's the first time I've met them, and I'm talking about like niche conversations, I'll assume they don't know what I'm talking about. And then I'll use a term and then say, this is what this is, and this is how we think about this. For example, like if I'm talking to an atheist, and I realize they're saying they're an atheist, but I don't think they've really looked into atheism. Because I've had a lot of conversations with atheists, and I might say like, hey, is this what you're trying to say? Right. And a lot of times I've been in conversations with people who, starting off the conversation, they said they were an atheist. And then I asked them a couple of questions, and I said, well, look, the way you're defining this puts you within an agnostic camp, and maybe like a soft agnostic camp, that you just don't have enough evidence. So you're concluding that you don't know. So the proper terminology to use about that is the following. But that's just, again, been very friendly conversations I've had with people. So Arnold, I would trust Arnold on this because he probably pays attention to Durbin a lot more than I do. He says Durbin is pretty solid. While he's not perfect, well, none of us are. People often make mistakes answering a fool according to his folly as being rude. So while he's not perfect, people often mistake answering a fool according to his folly as being rude.
So I'm not sure what to say about that one because it's like maybe I am too soft. I don't know, but he did seem to be kind of like, I don't know, like pushing them to become
Look,
more
he does that
irritated.
stuff a lot
Yeah.
more than I do. Like I'm just like I'm trying to see whether again, this was a week ago when I watched this, but that guy was really abrasive, over the top. I'm sort of trying to put myself in his shoes and the way I would have responded to that gentleman. And I don't ever want to say there aren't conversations in which a tasteful amount of snarkiness is not asked for. Okay. I do think there are times. I definitely think there are times if the person is abrasive like that, they're cussing, they're just like in your face and stuff like that, where it's a nice, like, you can give them nice backhanded slaps, rhetorically speaking. I'm serious. That's serious. No, like there's room for that. Like it's the art of speaking well. I think there's some of that. I don't think that gentleman was in that conversation was ever even interested in having a conversation. I think that girl might have been like, she was a bit emotional, but she was a lot more reasonable, in my opinion. And if that guy wasn't there, that conversation would have gone a lot better. And I think I was told that he ended up leaving, and then she ended up having a better conversation with Jeff. And it might make sense to go back and look at his conversation with her and see if he changes. And if he does, then
as well. Okay.
Yeah, then you go, okay, cool. Like it was that guy. That was like, the one.
See,
that was
I
being the
don't
issue.
even know about that because it didn't even seem to be going that well. Even with the other two, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was told it went better after that guy left. Somebody who watched the whole video. Somebody sent me that video and told me to watch like 2 minutes of it. It's just like, I think it was by like the 11th minute mark, and I was just sitting there saying, why are these guys yelling at each other?
Yeah. I mean, when somebody tells you to watch 2 minutes of a long conversation, you know something's gone wrong.
No, I think, no, this is a friend of mine. He specifically wanted me to respond to a portion of that conversation.
Okay.
He didn't want me to do like an entire review. He was like, just, and like how I would have approached a certain thing. It's just I kept watching.
Oh, okay. No, because I've done that before where I've said to somebody, you should watch this video and watch like 2 minutes of it because I wanted them to see something that was funny.
Yeah,
Not necessarily for them to learn something. Yeah. Nah, I mean, most of my criticisms there, like apart from like the most blatant, like more blatant stuff that like would just be worldview issues, it's just him. It's just the way he like conducts himself, just weird. I've said one already, but like at one point he just like outright declared that they were like unbelievers or something. I'm like, how did you know? I had to pause the video and rewind it a little bit to find out like if
yeah.
they
I think by
self-declared
that
themselves.
he does he specifically means they're not Christians.
Yeah, well, I know that, but like
Yeah,
I don't even know how he would know that because like to my knowledge, there are definitely like Christians who are like pro-choice to an extent, right? And you're probably going to say that they shouldn't have that view, but
correct.
it just seems weird to just like declare somebody else's like identity like that. It's just really strange. I don't know.
That's interesting. Um,
Like I would never walk up to somebody and be like, I can't actually do this because it's so hard for me to imagine myself doing that. Because if I walk up to a Christian and be like, "Oh, you're a Muslim," it doesn't really work in the same context as him calling them an unbeliever. Because like I feel like I understand the connotation of that. Be like, it's either the case that he just thinks that they're unbelievers, or he's saying that their positions are one that would be linked to an unbeliever, right? Like they could be a
that's the way
Christian.
I would interpret it.
That's
Even
what
though
I
I
thought.
don't,
That's what I think, right?
I wouldn't
I think that.
exclude it from the first one. That by the nature of the conversation and the stuff they're talking about, they're saying stuff where he's like, well, these people are not Christians. Like I tend to actually distinguish between calling someone an unbeliever and a Christian. That's just my thing. Like because somebody can be a theist, and just not be a Christian. I use the word unbeliever in context where I suppose sometimes talking about atheists, I would call them unbelievers, meaning they don't believe even in God.
Yeah, see, that would make sense though, right? But like he just walked up to some random person.
But
and
he's
was
not like this is like 10 minutes into a conversation. There's a number of things that have been said, and I think you can conclude rationally that the individual you're talking to does not believe in Christianity being true.
maybe.
I'd be interested. I mean, they didn't deny it. They weren't like, no, I
Yeah,
am a Christian.
I know,
Right?
I know.
Because I've had that happen. Personally, I've said stuff like that, and the people in front of me said, no, I am a Christian. And then I've said, well, how can you hold that position as a Christian? And we've had a conversation about what the Bible teaches on the subject, because we're in agreement on a bunch of other stuff. So therefore, hey, how can you believe this as a Christian? So I've been corrected on that. And whether they were or they weren't actually, and the way Christianity, the Bible explains what it means for someone to be a Christian, whether I don't want to get into that. But I think you can have a conversation with someone for 5 minutes and conclude that they're not Christians. I mean, hey, look, man, you don't even have to have a conversation with someone to conclude they're not Christians. I mean, you're in England, you're in London. You see quite a bit of.
I just guess people's worldviews.
No, you probably see a lot of. You probably see a lot of Pakistani, say, men or women dressed in a certain way, where you would just look at them and conclude. I mean, you wouldn't look at them and be like, I'm not gonna make up my mind if they're Muslims or Christians.
Yeah, I know, but like sometimes it's obvious though. Like if you saw me in real life, you wouldn't just guess that I'm an atheist, right? You would just guess that.
Correct, but like atheists don't have a garb, like that.
Exactly, but that's the point I'm trying to make though. It's not like those people walking around with like what's that like you know that little like that A sign that they've made for like an atheist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like they have one of those on. Yeah, it's not like they have one of those, right? So
not on them. I've seen it quite a bit. Like I've seen it on people's laptops and cars and stuff like that. And I'm like,
I've never seen that. That would be quite funny.
By the way, I don't know, man. Some of this stuff is an American thing. Like I don't know if in England
I think it must be.
What about the Darwin fish? Have you seen that? Like on cars?
I don't even know what
Okay, so there's a fish. There's a fish that's like the Christian fish that has the Greek letters in it that stands for Jesus Christ.
I have never seen. I'm looking at it now. I've never seen this in my life. What is this?
It's a very old. It's actually the fish is the first Christian sign, by the way. Like before the cross becomes the thing. like a lot of Christians, whatever, like drew fishes, and there's fish everywhere and stuff. Symbolism in Christian symbolism, and so there's this fish that has this Greek acronym in there that stands for Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior, and so it's on a lot of cars in the United States. And then a bunch of atheists have taken that fish and removed the lettering that talks about Jesus Christ and put feet on the fish, and it says Darwin in it. You've never seen this? You got to Google this, man. Like the Darwin fish. Let me see.
I mean, got more images of it. Oh, no, there are feet on it. Okay.
You see that? Yeah, they put them on cars. So
I've never seen this.
So one time I was talking to a guy, and on the back of his car there was the Christian fish. And I was like, "Oh, you're a Christian, you go to church and stuff." And he looked at me. He's like, "Oh no, I just bought my car like that." I was like, "Oh, it's nice."
Didn't he have time to? I mean, I'm not sure if I would remove some. Actually, I might do. I don't really like. Oh, if I owned a car, I'm not sure I'd want like things on the side of it. I'd rather have like my car like, on the car. You know.
Yeah, I don't like bumper stickers generally.
Oh, that's okay. That's not a thing that we have here either. Like I've never really seen one of those. People just leave their cars. Yeah, I don't see those.
Oh man, the other day I saw like the most cringe car.
The only one I've seen is for when like baby ones where they have like a baby is in this car position.
Baby
that's the only thing I've
stuff,
ever seen. Yeah.
There's these cool ones. I guess they put them on windows, and it's like a dad, mom, and then like 4 kids and the dog they have, and then like it's like their entire family. It's sort of like a silhouette stick figure kind of thing. It's kind of cute. But the other day I saw this guy driving down the street with and there was a Bible verse, like gigantic Bible verse on the back of his car. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the closer I got to the car, I realized it said stuff like, the Sabbath is not on Sunday, and like stop. Like it was just like a bunch of, I would assume, Seventh-day Adventist theology. But he was very aggressive on his car. Like it was like everywhere. It was on a Saturday actually. So.
Wow, irony. That's crazy.
He was going home from church probably. But these are guys that think like I don't know.
Yeah, I think I told you once that I'd actually been to an SDA when I was in Jamaica that one time.
Did you? Yeah. There's SDA churches that I think are like nicer, and there's ones that are like really aggressive. Like I remember this guy came to our Bible study, and he just thought it was his duty. I guess he was a younger guy, so a bit zealous and not very wise, but he thought it was his duty to get up and teach us that the Sabbath is not on Sunday.
Oh.
Yeah, by the way, I should say this to everyone listening in. I don't know any actual theologian that argues that the Sabbath is on Sunday, or that the Sabbath, because Sabbath literally means Saturday. Like it means rest, literally means rest, and it's on Saturday. You can't go like, oh, the Sabbath has like switched. It makes no sense. So nobody really argues that the Sabbath day has changed. What they argue, the reason they argue we meet on Sundays is because Jesus resurrected on a Sunday. Like the Sabbath day never changed. The New Testament never teaches that. People just assume this for some awkward reason. But it's not in the New Testament. It's just they're meeting on Sunday because Christ resurrected from the dead on Sunday. That's why they call it, that's why none of the New Testament letters calls it Sabbath. It actually calls it the Lord's Day. Right? But there's all these stories, I think, in SDA circles about the Pope changing it to Sunday and just random stuff. Mm-hmm. But like, do you think overall? I mean, I get your concerns. See, I don't know, because of your personality. I don't know whether you would be, because I have friends like you who wouldn't necessarily be okay with doing that sort of work, like being on the streets, like, talking to people like that.
It's fine. It's just that like these people, like, it's not like these people are not going to regardless of how like fervently they hold on to whatever view they have, they're not gonna be met with him telling them that they're committing fallacies or whatever, and then like suddenly change their mind. It's just like it's just really strange that people think that. Like I don't even know if he himself thinks it's gonna work. Maybe it's just like for the audience or whatever, which is what I think happens with most of these
Hmm.
like clipped conversations, where it's for
Do you
the
think there's
audience.
room
But
for that? Like, do you think
as
there's
in what?
room for doing it for the audience?
Yeah, no, I think that's fine, but it's just that it's just if you're going to do it for the audience, like make sure you present yourself in like a way where you're actually
Hmm.
um trying to do that. Because like if I was like those two people and I was watching that and I was like if I held like a similar view to them or whatever, um I'm not gonna I'm not gonna listen to him and be like, "Oh, you committed this informal fallacy," and then go and look up the fallacy like afterwards. It'd just be really weird because I would just hear him present it like that and be like, "Oh, this isn't a guy that I respect very much." Um, I would just ignore him, you know. Uh, I just like the worst of it for me was when he decided to roll into what I call the prescript,
He is a
where
presuppositionalist.
yeah, I know, but
Yeah, it's
but
not a
like
script. He
but
believes
no, no,
it.
no, I call it that because some of my friends call it that. And it's kind of funny,
Uh-huh.
but like that's like the one thing where I feel like you should just never in your life be rolling out in this sort of situation. Like there like if you think that it's rare for somebody to understand what a fallacy is, the chances of somebody understanding what he's talking about when he's running through the line of reasoning there is like 1,000 times less than that, because it's not only is it like a branch of philosophy that's like within philosophy of religion. Like, it's not even like it's a regular fallacy that could be used anywhere else. It's a philosophy of religion specific one that is even more niche than that, because it's not like at every single like course or university you learn about like presuppositionalism, right? You don't learn about that everywhere. So it's even more niche than that. And for him to just roll it out to these people just shows me that he's not thinking about like his audience. Um, like the audience, like all these people that he's trying to reach and convince that they're wrong. Because like, these people obviously do not know what he's talking about when he like, asks the precept questions, right? So I feel like he's definitely not trying to talk to them, and rather just trying to like big himself up for the audience who definitely understands what those things are.
That's interesting. I think that's a fair criticism. Um,
It's just like in my view, it's just weird. Like, if he's making a video where he's like debating some person who's like philosophically trained and he goes and does that, I mean, yeah, sure, it's fine. And then there's responses to whatever he's gonna say. But he just walks into some random people in the street and then says it.
well,
It's like,
yeah, I don't know where the
okay,
location is and stuff like that. And it seems, I mean, they might be standing in front of an abortion clinic, and it could be that these people were like walking by and thought it was a good idea for them to go and talk to them or something. I wonder at that point in a conversation, so like there are these really, really irrational type folks that there's quite a bit of, at least in America. Okay. Like I'll give you an example. I was playing football of the British sort. I was playing football with on a team with a bunch of guys and girls who were predominantly like very liberal politically. They were like, a lot of them were in the Hollywood scene and stuff like that. And we decided to go out and have a beer together at someone's house. And we're there, and like, this is hilarious. A great group of people, by the way. But for some reason, they just assumed like nobody was a conservative around them. Right? Like they didn't know me so well. And they just assumed like everybody around them was liberal, and nobody, like, I think Trump came up as a point of conversation and voting for him and stuff like that. And just like they assumed nobody would have voted for him. And I was like, I voted for him. And like they were in utter shock that I had voted for them. And like And I've realized in situations like that, I can't have really rational conversations because they immediately start putting me in certain crowds and camps, and just like they can't. Like they can't think of a good reason why I would have voted for someone like Trump. Which goes to tell you that they're not seriously considering arguments from the other side on any issue, I would say. Right? Like, and the reason why I say this is because I think Jeff is, maybe he continues that conversation the way he does to show how irrational these sorts of people can become. It would be the equivalent to an atheist person having a conversation with someone who was, I don't know. Give an example. I remember having a conversation with someone. This is a personal conversation. I will not name the state I was in, but it was not in California.
What?
It was in a different state in the United States. And my friend and I, like, we were at like a garage sale or something like that, right? It was like a yard sale. And we were having this conversation with this gentleman. And my buddy, who always brings up the Bible in conversations in very interesting ways, brought it up. And this guy was like, yeah, I read the King James Bible only. It's good enough for me. And so my friend just thought it would have been fun to throw me under the bus by making a couple of comments about like how I'm from California and I'm a liberal and I read all sorts of other Bibles. And my buddy's a Christian, and this guy like kind of lost it, like, and he was so irrational at the way he was conceptualizing why no other translation of the Bible is legitimate except the King James Bible. And like, I know folks who rationally defend King James onlyism. Well, this man was not doing that at all. And I wondered, like, there are individuals I know for sure, and a lot of them, who would have argued for that stuff the exact way this gentleman was. And whether I could have, or any atheist could have, recorded a conversation with him and said, look how irrationally silly kind of this stuff is. And I think there might be room for that. Right? That there might be room to, as a teaching lesson to like the general populace, I guess, of that sort of a thing. And whether Jeff Durbin and his crew think, well, it's good enough to actually present this, because typically one of the things that's happening in the United States is individuals like that who tend to be very aggressive and hysterical shut down every other voice around them. Because nobody wants to confront them, because they really, really go out of control. They'll start cussing up a storm. They'll start accusing you of various things. And nobody just really wants to converse with them. But they seem like they're the only, like they're just surrounded by people just like them. And that's just not true. Yeah, I have no idea whether it's like that in the United States. In the UK. But like there's things that doesn't bother, I've realized, individuals in the UK. There's conversations. Like I've never seen someone in the UK, like any sport, because sports predominantly, like, right? I pay attention to the sports there. Say like during the World Cup, one of the British players, let's just say one of the black British players, like someone like a Raheem Sterling, refuse to sing the national anthem. I can't think of anything like that happening.
See, I didn't. That's how funny it is. I actually didn't know about that until you just told me. I was not aware that just happened.
Yeah, like there's American.
Clearly we just don't care, right?
No, but they sing. They sing. Like they sing. Well, they used to sing "God Save the Queen," right?
Yeah.
And they're gonna sing "God Save the King." Like there's a certain kind of respect and decency to the country, even though they know the history of the country, they know what the country's done. It's not like the United States is the only country that had slaves. England had slaves. They went through many years to abolish it as well. Now, they didn't fight a civil war over it, but it was still hard work to get rid of slavery in England. But you don't get that. And in the United States, it becomes like ridiculously politicized. And you got players who are not singing the national anthem. They and it's like, why? Hang on here. Why is my phone not on silent?
That surprised me. I
Sorry.
thought that I thought that my alarm was going off. I'm like, wait, my
No,
phone's all the way over
that's
there.
that is my. Let me put this on airplane mode. That's weird because it is on silent, but it's decided.
Speaking of, I'm not sure if you got this, but a couple of days ago, um, we had a government alert on our phone, at like 3 o'clock, being like, "This is you'll get a message like this," and like the alarm sound was crazy. Like it bypassed all your silent like
Ye-
settings to tell you that like if an emergency happens, you need to follow these instructions. It's really hard to describe without showing
We've
you.
had that.
But
We have that in the States.
oh, okay. No, because my mom warned me an hour before, and she was like, "Oh, at 3 o'clock, we're gonna have this alarm, and it's gonna tell you. It's gonna be like some sort of like
Yeah.
test thing to show you what happens in an emergency." And it still caught me off guard because the sound was
Yeah, it's like a
kind of
weird like.
insane. Yeah, but she also told me that one state in the US had it, and it went off at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Woke everyone up.
Yeah, so I feel bad for those people if it hit
Yeah,
them.
so there's like usually in the States, at least in my area, if there's like a child abduction or something, like someone's kidnapped a kid and they're on the freeway or something, you will get like this notification that'll say child abduction. It'll have the license plate, the color of the
Really?
car, and all that stuff. So
Really?
yeah,
That's pretty good,
which is pretty
actually.
cool. I think that's
Oh,
pretty
that's
cool
pretty
because
good.
like
Yeah.
immediately puts people on, or if there's like a natural disaster, if there's like an earthquake or something like that,
Yeah, I
and
mean, you
roads are
have
down,
loads of
where like
those, right?
makes
So,
sense. Yeah, I mean they used to have the big giant sirens, right? Like if there was like a bombing raid.
oh,
Do you guys still have that? I mean I think I'm pretty sure cities in the United States still have those those
I
sirens.
don't think I've heard one, but
Well,
we had
let's hope not, Jerome. Like if you've heard it, there's a bombing raid happening.
I don't think I've ever heard one, but the last thing that could have happened was in London in like 2007 we had some actual like bombs go off in the middle
Huh.
of London. And I didn't remember that. I was like 7 years old, but uh yeah, I think I was at school, and my mom had, actually, I'm not even sure, maybe it was earlier than that, but my mom had to like come collect me early, and she like I was away, I was at school or nursery or something like that, and she had to travel all the way to the school to try
Hmm.
and find me because she was very scared. She was at work actually, and then when that all went off, but I think that's the last time I think people would have heard that sort of sound. But we're just used to hearing like ambulances and police, so
Yeah, so
not like bomb ones.
Carl's right in saying that in the at least in the United States, in the settings we can turn that off.
Oh, okay.
The alert we can turn it off. I'm not sure what.
Okay,
what's
that
up
makes
in
sense because
you
if it
guys
went
have
off
less.
like every
You
day,
guys
that'd
have
be a
less
problem.
freedoms than us. So oh man.
Wait, I forgot about this earlier, but the two comments just above his one, I think that was about like what I was saying earlier. I forgot how
Yeah,
long ago that was
I was
posted,
going to
but
bring this up. He says,
yeah.
and Justin I think Justin most likely watches Jeff Durbin a lot more than I do. He says it seems pretty silly. People criticize Jeff when he's calm and doesn't insult, yet they're not offended by the ones spewing the actual hate.
I mean, what did they want me to do? Did they want me to like denounce those people? Because I'll just go ahead and do that. To be honest, like I don't know, I can have like I have some sympathies to like the positions they're arguing for, but it's just weird to walk up to somebody like Jeff Durbin and treat him like that. It's just weird. So yeah, it's I mean I don't know I don't want to be like this person was worse than this other person in this exchange because I still think they're both pretty bad. But yeah, I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna be like, yeah, those people were completely fine in what they said and how they treated him. Like
Yeah,
no,
in my understanding, I think from what I've seen from Jeff is if the person who approached them decided to have an actual dialogue and present points and sub points or whatever like that, I think Jeff keeps his cool, has a conversation, and it's like reasonable to watch and enjoy. Personality wise, he's a really nice guy. the stuff that he does and the stuff that their church does in regards to supporting and helping people is insane. Like, a lot of churches don't do the things that church does. And that church has been around for about 13 years. I mean, from housing women who are like in domestic abuse situations, to adopting babies, to himself adopting a baby, and adopting babies who were supposed to be aborted. Like, the guy really puts his money where his mouth is. And it really goes to show kind of his care, his genuine concern for those things. He is in no way, again, from what I've seen, like, just goes around being insulting to people and stuff like that.
I mean, I hope that's not the case, right? Because when I
don't think it
listen to
is.
these conversations, I understand why like people are really worried about like the outcome of what the conclusions of whatever these conversations are about. Because you know, they can obviously see like real harm being done to like I don't even know how else to phrase it, but like innocent people, right? Like, if you're gonna see it in that way, then I understand like why people are getting like super angry about this.
I
So
wonder.
like
Go
it's
ahead.
fair enough. It's fair enough to have that sort of mindset and then walk into these conversations like that. But if you're trying to convince these people who do not think like that, I don't know, just rolling in with like any sort of aggression is just going to be a bit weird to me. So
Would you say you have a generally optimistic view of people?
uh
Like your average person on the street?
in terms of what though?
Like, do you think if given the right circumstances, the average person in the street would like slaughter you?
Oh no.
You don't believe
No,
that?
not really, no. Oh.
So I think I would say I think the average person on the street, given a certain kind of circumstances, will either participate in slaughtering folks, other people, or stay completely silent while others do it. I don't have a high view that people are like ethically and morally feel responsible and will actually put their life, their work, anything like that on the line for other people.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean now. I mean, that's hard because I have to imagine like somebody's like limit to like stand by and not do anything, and then
I
I
actually
think
don't
can
think,
imagine the
I don't think
scenario.
it takes a lot. I really don't think it takes a lot. The groupthink kind of sort of stuff is insanely powerful. Do you know who Tucker Carlson is?
Yeah.
So recently he left Fox News or fired or
Did
whatever.
he?
Yeah. So
I
he either
did
got
not know
fired or he
that.
left. This happened yesterday. This is like breaking news.
Oh.
Him and Don Lemon on the same day. Don Lemon got fired by CNN yesterday. But Tucker Carlson seems to be a bigger thing. And then somebody posted a video of the last talk before leaving or getting fired or whatever Tucker gave. It's at some kind of a conference or whatever like that. And he says, I'm very sad and disappointed at the group thing. He says, there's many people around me that I thought would see things and actually comment on it and leave. He said, I thought that these people would see things and report the proper stuff and speak on it. But what I've seen is they just stay silent. And he said the group think kind of mentality is really powerful, even in my own circles. And so he's criticizing conservative people for staying silent on stuff. Okay? I think that's generally, if people don't actually participate in it, like actively, say like you get like something like a Nazi Germany. Maybe your average person isn't actively participating in what's going on at the concentration camps or something like that, but they know what's going on and they don't say anything. And then you get very few people who actually speak up about it.
Um, I mean, I can see that, right? I can see what you mean now. I I feel like you're making the connection to abortion being like a pseudo Holocaust, right?
Um, no, I actually wasn't. I wasn't.
Oh,
I'm
never
just
mind then.
no. The way you spoke, like the way you came at it, I think, like, I don't necessarily think the average person on the street or just average human is like a ethically virtuous, rational person who will be able to like pursue truth in various ways. It's very like I don't think that's the case.
Really?
That yeah. Added on to that, I would say, is my Christian worldview of people just naturally being sinners, and that comes with a bunch of stuff. I mean, we
I mean,
can
that's
break
not
that
going to
down.
help, right?
Yeah, I know what I'm saying. Is, yeah, of course, obviously it's not going to help. But I remember, so I interviewed someone a number of months ago, and he'd studied genocides, and essentially, like, and I've heard this from other people as well. People who've studied genocides because of the Armenian genocide. I've done quite a bit of reading and studying into various genocides, not just the Armenian genocide. Like what happened in Rwanda, like, just boggles my mind, right? Because what happened at the Holocaust is a government-enforced extermination where you could say a lot of the work is being done by soldiers. A lot of it is like government stuff.
Yeah.
In Rwanda, it was the average person that's like grabbed a machete and is killing his neighbor. And as a matter of fact, the other day I was listening to something because of the genocide anniversary. I was listening to someone who said the genocide that the Ottoman Empire did on the Armenians was a lot more like Rwanda than it was what happened with the Holocaust. It's essentially the government was like instigating your average individual to go do this. And I sit there and I say, okay, what would it take for somebody to get up and slaughter his neighbor, like people they've known for generations maybe? Like, you know, their kids, and you're just like, next thing you know, you're killing them. Which reduces my hope in humanity quite a bit.
Don't mean to lighten this too much, but how did we get there? How
Well,
did
I
we
think
get to that?
the way the reason why I asked that question, by the way, was because I think you, well, I interpreted you making a comment where I thought you were being overly
Words are hard.
optimistic.
Yes.
Sorry, I thought you were being overly optimistic on like the average person.
Oh, uh, what in terms of like, no, not really though, because
Okay,
I feel like the average person isn't going to be like receptive to arguments like that, especially like of that sort and presented in the way that Jeff Durbin did, right? Um, so I guess I wouldn't be optimistic in that sense. Yeah,
even though, like, let's just say whatever he's saying is true.
yeah,
Like the rationality there. And I suppose this makes sense in regards to what you're saying about like, hey, you just told this guy he's making a fallacy and you named the fallacy. Like he doesn't even care.
True, but also if he did care, like even if he did care, it's just like him being told that, it's just
It's
like,
not
it
going to
feels
help.
like it feels like you're just trying to like seem rhetorically better than the person you're trying to talk to by
Correct.
like
Yeah.
giving some random technical term that's just not necessary for the situation at hand. Again, it's something I just wouldn't do. So I, I mean, I guess that's it really. It's just it's a thing I noticed from like certain kinds of apologists anyway. I don't mean to be too like
Well, I wouldn't
team
say
Nazi
like
or
that's an apologetics issue, by the way. I'll tell you why. So,
actually, no, hold on. I'm an idiot. Forget what I just said. I can think of at least like 2 or 3 atheists who do exactly that. So
so this is what I was going to say, because I think it's a personality type actually. And people who resonate with certain personalities, and then context matters sometimes, I think, where your personality kind of, you put it at the side and you employ certain arguments. So someone like Pine Creek and the kind of conversations he has is very different than someone like an Aaron Raw or a Matt Dillahunty.
Yeah.
Right. Tom Jump, I haven't listened to too much, but it seems to me he's sort of similar to Pine Creek.
I feel like he's more in between. If there's an in between
it would be
those
him.
two groups, they would be him. Yeah.
Okay.
Although he seems to lean towards the former, maybe a bit more. But
Yeah.
I don't listen to him much either. So
What's up, supper all day? Yeah. So for me, it's like, and then I sort of think it's a personality thing. Like there's theists, atheists, Muslims, or whatever. That's humans who have a personality, who find certain arguments in certain ways, and then will employ those things within their conversations. And then there's some people who will actually, because of their personality, say, hey, I really like that. I thought that was cool. Right? And then there's some people who go, not interested in that stuff. Like I would prefer to have a different sort of conversation. Yeah. I'm like a sort of, I change contextually. So I can have a conversation like the one you and I are having, which is actually a conversation. We're throwing ideas around. We're thinking on our feet. We're changing our minds and, processing stuff. Or like if somebody comes at me, what I would say, generally I would say if somebody comes at me sideways, then it's going to be
bad.
Frontal assault.
We've already seen that, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly, right. Like, but my initial thing would be, hey, let's just have a conversation. Like, I'm willing to hear you out, and consider what you have to say. But if the person is not, if I realize the person in front of me is not interested in doing that, sometimes I'll just end the conversation. If I'm really tired and I don't want to have the conversation, I'm just like, forget it, man. Like, it's too late or something. But and again, it depends as to. So I'll give it in the personal sense. Many times I was on college campuses and I would get into conversations like that, and then I realized there were like 20 people listening into this conversation, and what the individual was saying was like ridiculously off the wall, nonsensical. And so because of the people listening in, because I didn't want people walking away saying, oh, did you see that guy? He was very confident in what he said and he made his points and stuff. I went on to respond to them in a similar format. So I think some of that really depends on the context in which you find yourself.
Speaking of context, a lot of what I've said so far is contingent on. It's going to sound really silly when I say it, but it's contingent on a camera being present. Like a camera being present just makes any, like, if I'm measuring somebody's honesty on like some sort of meter, the meter will just dip immediately so far if a camera exists, because I know that like if people know settings, a lot of people will do what I call farming, which is where you clip somebody saying something that's like insane and then put it on like the internet and then like farm reactions where you either try and like get loads of like comments about it or views or sort of like stir up some sort of drama, right?
Yeah.
And so like, when Durbin's there, like it might be a bit like presumptuous of me to think this, but like if a camera's there and somebody's talking to somebody who like they vehemently disagree with, I just assume they're trying to farm them, and that's about it really. So like a lot of what I just said earlier about these people not understanding what's going on and them being like fed stuff that they clearly would never understand, it feels like farming, I guess.
Well, or it's
even though he might
expose-
not,
It
even though he
could
might
be
not
like
be
the
doing that, I just assume it. Right? That's probably like bad of me to do, but
let's just say like somebody shows up to like a Trump rally, okay, to show the sort of craziness that is at a Trump rally. By the way, I've never been at a Trump rally. I know folks have shown up to Trump rallies to show how it was crazy, and then they realized it wasn't as crazy as they thought. Like there's YouTube videos that you can go watch on that where they're like, we showed up, we thinking these guys were like nutty folks, and then we realized it wasn't that. But whatever, whether liberal, let's just assume it is, or assume the other way. There might be some room for that, like in regards to getting into a conversation with someone, and then there's cameras around, and you go, this is actually a very good life lesson as to how irrational this is. And so, yeah, let's keep the cameras rolling. I'm gonna prick at them in those areas. I'm gonna poke at them in those areas, so I get those kinds of reactions, so I can show what's going on. I get that. I really get that, man. Trust me. There's lots of videos I can clip from my own videos that'll get lots of views with a really nice thumbnail. And
I'm surprised you didn't clip that conversation you had with the Muslim from the other day. Maybe it was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I don't know how you haven't done that already. But
well, yeah, people wanted me to do it, and I said no.
Why did you not?
I haven't.
Like, wait, hold on. So what I just spoke about, like me not liking people farming content, right? Like that goes away immediately if the person like consents to being in that situation. So like me being here now is like like some sort of like tacit
Yeah, you called it
like consension of being clipped, right? Like you can just do whatever because I just came onto your channel, right? But if it's some dude on the internet who's walking up to people on the street and he's there filming them, it's just a bit like they didn't consent to be in.
This stuff is so new in my opinion. I remember when I started doing campus ministry and being on campuses, we would have cameras with us, not because we were putting it on YouTube, but it was to protect ourselves. Just like in case something happens where we have evidence.
Fair enough.
Like I remember, like I've had conversations with police officers where they've made up laws and we recorded them saying like you can't do this, and it's like, why can't we do this? And them saying something like, there's a law against this and this and that. And it's like, no, there isn't. Can you tell me which law we're breaking? And like, no answer. Right. And then they've told us like, you can't be recording me. It's like, yes, we can. It's actually legal to record you. So like, I think we all know that people can go on power trips and like I've had really bad experiences. Ironically, I've had bad experiences with police officers when I've done Christian ministry. But
wait, hold on. How are they walking up to you?
Oh yeah, man.
You causing like peace issues or something? I don't know. But...
Yeah, like they like it was very obvious the police officer disagreed with my views and was on a power trip to get me out of there because of that disagreement. And if I didn't know the laws and I didn't know what was going on, they would have gotten away with it. Like I remember a guy coming up to us and saying, we had a sign very similar to the one Jeff Durbin and those guys were holding. And I remember,
what sign do they have, by the way?
It says like abortion is murder or something like that. It's some variation of that. And I remember a guy coming and saying, you can't have this sign here. It's too big. It like, this cop, so this cop told us there's
that cannot be the criticism.
Okay,
surely.
So here's what's
surely.
So he told us we have to leave, and we said we're not going to leave because it's a public place where we're at, we're protected, so on and so forth. And then he said there's a city ordinance that basically your sign is too big for the city ordinance, like it's big for signs. Okay. And we were like, this sounds very far-fetched, right? So we're like, we don't believe you. Like, we need to see what that ordinance is. And he was really pushy. He was like, no, I'm not going to show it to you. You need to believe me. I'm a police officer. And so it came to a point where I told him, hey, I'm not going to have a conversation with you. I would like to talk to your superior, your boss. And you can demand things like that. I don't know, again, what the rules are in the UK. But essentially, like, he called his lieutenant down. And his lieutenant didn't even come talk to me. He pulled him aside and he had a conversation with them. And this guy comes back and goes, I just spoke to my lieutenant, and he said that your sign is just the right size. And I'm like, dude, just say you were making something up. Like, it's very obvious you were lying. It's very obvious your lieutenant just like really leaned into you and told you can't do that. And like,
funny.
And you're even coming back to save face or whatever, right? Saying it just meets the minimum requirement or something like that. I was like, like I've had a number of conversations like this with cops. And so we would carry these camcorders around, and this is like mid to late 2000s. So just in case cops would accuse us of things, because you never know. Like a cop could have been like, yeah, this guy was punching a lady, or people would make up stuff. I remember one time this guy called the police on us, and the cops came down and they were like, hey, we got a call in that you were like harassing people and you were calling people stupid and dumb and all this stuff. And I was like, no, like we're just having conversations with people. And it's just someone called the cops and wanted them to come there really fast and said, there's guys out here just going after people. So it was just like we would carry cameras around for those purposes. But then because of the internet, because you can post, I mean, everybody knows that the crazier the situation, the more viral it would go. Right? The nuttier the people in the conversation, the more it's going to be like, right? And so I think there is a tasteful way to do this where it's not clickbait. And even like when it comes to thumbnails and stuff, I think you can do something where it's not clickbaity, but it's leading. It's like saying, hey, click on this. Something like, you will never know what I discovered in the Bible, right? Like people, like depending on the thumbnail you have, a lot of people will click on that to see what's going on. Or I could put something like, Christian demolishes Muslim, right? And it's like when you listen to it and it's like, well, did you really demolish him? I wouldn't. Like, if I listened to that, I'd be like, not really. Like,
it's gotten to the point where if I see a video with like a demolish or destroy, I just don't click on the video.
Yeah, I got friends like that.
I fully just don't click on it now. Like,
yeah, I have friends that will refrain. Like it's a matter of principle now. They will
you
not
have to
watch
work
a video.
harder. You have to work harder to clickbait me. You have to work harder.
But that's the thing, right? Like, and if it's done in a tasteful way, man, I'm cool with it. Like somebody could put a comment in my, like last week somebody asked me, I think the first question I got was from a Christian person who said, is it a sin to drink Red Bull? Okay. And I answered that question. And it's a part of the longer stream, I think on Friday. And somebody put a comment under the comment section, said, Arthur, you should really clip that video out and make it a little shorter video, because he wrote something like, you're sitting on a gold mine. And then I was like, you know what? That's a good idea. I should clip that, because I generally did a teaching on things that might be harmful for you, but not necessarily what the Bible would call sinful. And I know there's a lot of Christians running around saying, this is sinful, that is sinful. Because I've heard it, right? Like quite a bit. I hear about my tattoos. That's sinful. The Bible says don't get tattoos. Why do you have tattoos?
I didn't even know you had those.
I got two of them. They're very Christian tattoos, as a matter of fact. Or is it?
Oh, fair enough.
Okay. Yeah. And I got them as a Christian. I didn't get them before. But like I've heard this quite a bit. And so I was like, so I downloaded it. I actually clipped it. I'm working on it. I'll probably end up putting it later on today. I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, and I could I'll probably come up with some kind of a title that will entice someone to click on it, right? But not clickbaity. Like I think there's a balance there. Right. But that's just based on my person. Like some people just don't care. Some people do not care. Like figure out how to become a millionaire in the next 2 months. Like you clearly do not care about truth. How many of those videos are there, right? So yeah, some of that's there.
Actually, I do think that would be like really good for you specifically. Maybe because I watch a lot of Pine Creek, right? But surely like because his streams feel like yours, where they're like several. I mean, his are probably a bit longer than yours are.
They are on
average.
Yes. But, sometimes like, I'll see like something. He's been on for like 6 hours, and I'm like,
yeah. Oh. So sometimes like I tend to watch like all of them, because like even if I'm not watching them live, because you lot stream at like the best time for EU viewers like me anyway, like the earliest you lot will stream is like 7 p.m. and we're already at home by that time, right? But if I don't watch them, I tend to just watch them on replay at high speed later on, which is useful. But like a lot of people just won't. A lot of people will just like catch parts of them, and it's probably good for you to clip I don't know, like important things that
Yeah, I'm
you
gonna do
want
that
people
quite.
considering.
I'm gonna do that more because I got this AI software that does it for me.
There you go.
Because it's a lot of work. I mean, seriously, it's a lot of work.
No, I bet it is. Yeah.
Maybe Pine Creek has, so maybe Doug has someone for him that does it.
No, he definitely
Uh,
does not. He 100% he does not.
He should. Shame on those atheists who aren't volunteering their time to help him out. I'm serious. Like, I've had people reach out to me and say, "Hey, if you need help creating shorts and stuff."
Considering what type of person he is, I don't think he'd even want the help.
Yeah, maybe.
Like,
Maybe. I mean, it just like gets
I don't think he
overwhelming.
would.
I mean, ideally, I would like to generate enough income where I could just pay someone to do that.
But remember, he's not doing it like as part of a job, right? Like he does it like in his spare time for fun. he
Correct.
says.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure he cares too much about like getting as much content out there as possible. In
Yeah,
the form of, like,
it's
short
just
clips, right?
it's time consuming. Even working on a
Yeah.
3 to 4 minute video, like to clip it
I
out from a
know.
longer stream like this,
Hmm.
it takes
Very
time,
long.
and you're working on it. First, you gotta know where it's at, and then I mean, there's ways you can be prepared for it, and you what's the word? Like there's buttons you can hit on your keyboard where it like flags it essentially, and then you can come back to it later on and break it down and all that. But yeah, I mean it is time consuming. But this AI software I got recently can create shorts for you, or even like shorter videos, like 2 to 3 minute ones. You can like extend it and then I export it and do a little bit more editing on it, and then just like it's up on the internet. So
Oh yeah, to
this is a
address
good
this
use of
comment.
AI. This is a good use of AI, artificial intelligence technology, ladies and gentlemen.
To address this comment, I did forget about Myron, actually. My fault.
Well, who's Myron?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I suppose this might be similar to a comment that. And for those, so Ruslan, the guy I was on his channel a couple of weeks back. So Ruslan did a debate on a pretty large YouTube channel, against a guy that's like really well known, and the debate was about like the manosphere and like the red pill kind of stuff, and so they have this debate. After the debate, the guy he debated released a video. And I guess people in the comment section were saying stuff like, that guy had 2 Apple Watches on. He was being fed information.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like, he kept looking at his watch. So one of them's like a fitness tracker and the other one was an Apple Watch. But people were like,
Mid-set debate coaching. That's crazy.
Dude, insane. Like people legitimately in the comment section were saying he was being fed information from the green room. It was just hilarious because I know Ruslan was reading books that guy had written in preparation for the debate, like weeks before. And he had prepared himself really well. I mean, he showed up having read the guy's book, and he was like, you make this claim here, you make that claim, and it doesn't go along with what the Bible says, but you're saying you're a Christian, like, So it was just hilarious that people were just like, no, he was being fed information. So I suppose Myron and the office in Wichita is something around those lines. Did I read that information? Did I read that properly?
No.
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 I thought someone might have claimed that Doug has a secret office in Wichita where they like create his content and put it out.
I might as well be sure. It's just an inside joke.
Yeah, that's
to be honest.
Where are we?
Myron is not a real thing, so
He's a fake person.
It's just a fun. It's like you have to you'd have to watch a lot of streams to fully understand the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Carl, feel free to cut out random stuff. Just we can edit and make Jerome say whatever we want.
Oh no!
Literally, I can edit him to like confessing Jesus as Lord and Savior.
I'm getting farmed. That's crazy. I'm about to get farmed.
Man, yeah, it's really bad. What it does, again, it's one of these things where I said like your average person, the average person that I see doesn't do research, even though we have more information at our fingertips than any other generation in the history of the world. Like, I I made a video, or I did it in a reaction video, where this guy is essentially claiming he's a supposed Christian pastor or whatever, and he made this video, and in the video he's legitimately just giving false information, where he claims Geneva. Well, he's in that video he's approving of another video where it claims Geneva is Pergamum that the Bible speaks about. And this video has hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. And it's just factually incorrect because Pergamum is in Turkey. And I even commented on the video like, hey, why is this video still up? It's false information in there.
Okay.
Like just you're saying this city is here and it's there, and nobody cares. Hundreds of thousands of people in the comment section are like amening it, and I'm just like, oh, you guys, please stop. But integrity is a good thing. And I objectively believe that, Jerome.
That's fair enough. Oh, wait, I missed the joke. No, I missed the joke.
Objectively, I said I objectively believe.
No, how was I too slow to that?
It's okay, it's late. Jackson says Jackson said ChatGPT is my research. Do you guys actually use ChatGPT for researching?
I don't know.
Have you used ChatGPT for research?
Some people do. The first time I'd even heard of it, like the first time I'd used it was about 5 hours ago, and someone told me to like look something up using it. I'd never used it before.
So okay, I've used it. As a matter of fact, I've used it. I've used it to script videos.
Wow. Okay.
Like you give it a subject, and it'll populate pretty decent, in my opinion. I think like you get about 70-80% like decent material. And then you go in there and you can edit it and then add various things. Shorter videos. I've used ChatGPT. I haven't personally used ChatGPT. Like my friend has done it and sent me the script, and I re-edit the script and then and I'll make a video on it. But research-wise, I would be skeptical to a certain extent, but like you still would have to know if you're completely ignorant, you might just be fed false information without even realizing it and just trusting it. At least when I Google something, multiple websites open up and then I can open up multiple tabs. I don't think, does ChatGPT do that is the question, guys. It helped me write my paper.
Ask the sources though.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like you could do that. I was told you can do that. I'm not too sure though. Haven't used it.
Yeah, so Jackson is saying it helped me write a paper. By the way, careful, Jackson, because I know a bunch of professors who know that their students are using ChatGPT to write papers, and they're failing their butts. That's plagiarism.
Plagiarism, yeah. You might get sweat for that. So be careful.
Now, I wouldn't mind. I'm pretty sure you can use it to come up with some kind of a general outline for your paper and then write your paper. But don't cheat.
Literally, don't cheat. That's
like I'm not saying that you're doing that, Jackson, but I know like somebody I know who's a professor said that he teaches an online class, and he said that his students are cheating using ChatGPT because when you're teaching an online class on your end as a professor, I've taught online classes on your end as a professor, it gives you the time the students spent answering the question. Okay. So like I've had students where it said they were answering a particular question for like 28 hours. And I was like, okay, this guy forgot his computer on, like went and did something, came back the following day and just like continued. And then I've had students where it said like 8 seconds. Like, you can't type that fast. I know you've copy paste this. Yeah, so that's an immediate red flag. And he said that his student, like he had a specific student, and he was teaching the ethics course. Ironically, he's teaching the ethics course.
Ethics course.
And some student is like copy pasting the answers.
That's so good.
What a horrendous way to fail the ethics course. Like, not only have you failed the course, but you're failing ethically. Like, just, oh man.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That is funny.
Buck, no, it's not Romans 6 that answers the question. It is Romans 1 that answers that question.
Wait, Barker's been asking this question for like 4 streams in a row.
Yeah, I think he's doing like
people.
research, like he's looking into what the Bible actually teaches on that.
Fair enough.
Just gave me a small outline, nothing major. Oh, that's fine. That's like asking your friend to help you, except your friend this time is a computer. Which is, can you really call it your friend if it's a computer? There's a metaphysical question some of you guys can consider. Sapareo says, ChatGPT is awesome. I like to use it to make bedtime stories for my kids. Dude, that is genius.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Hey, man, okay. So I'm going to steal 2 things from you. Number 1, this idea. Number 2, I'm just going to steal bedtime stories from ChatGPT. Carl says you need to fact check ChatGPT. Correct, because nonetheless, it's still programmed by people, and they can program it in whatever way they want. Because it is not self-aware and conscious.
Speaking of children, how old is your oldest kid again?
My oldest is 9. He just turned 9. He turned 9 March.
Do you think that he would be classified as a Christian or not? Yeah, remember you spoke about this at the very start, like when I came in originally. I just forgot about it.
I'm not sure. So I'll tell you this. When he was younger, probably 5, I started having conversations with him. 5, 6, I started having conversations about the gospel. So I would explain to him that he's a sinner and God has forgiven him. I'd lay out the whole thing, and then I would ask him whether he wanted to give his life to Jesus, and then he would just flat out tell me no. And I'd be like, cool, okay, we'll have this discussion later. I'm not sure. I don't know whether I can confidently answer that question. Now, listen, you might hear different answers from different Christians from different varieties. Some who believe in infant baptism and stuff like that will tell you things like, well, yeah, he was baptized as an infant, or he was baptized, and yeah, that's what makes him a Christian, and then he'll go through confirmation or some form of it if they're Catholic or Orthodox or even Anglican and stuff like that. For me, if Christianity to me means, or being a Christian means that you have understood and willingly given, say, your life to Jesus and decided to follow him or something like that. I think kids at a very young age can make that decision if they understand the most fundamental and basic aspects of that. And then obviously as they grow up, they'll learn more about it and they'll question it and then, go through that. I'm just not very sure whether I would say yes to the question you asked me, particularly about my child.
Oh, okay.
So we continue to have conversations about this, every I don't know. Every time I feel like it, let's put it that way.
Right. Fair enough. That sounds like a really weird question for me to ask you, but sorry if that's a weird one, but
no, it's good because a lot of times Christians get accused of indoctrination, right? And I've seen atheists, as a matter of fact, accuse Christians from a moral perspective of indoctrination. This is the proper terminology I've heard from some atheists has been, this is child abuse. First and foremost, the response should be, do you think this doesn't happen in atheist households? I know for a fact this happens in some atheist households. I know I had a guy in my youth group who was coming to church who was an atheist, who had a bunch of questions about God. This guy was in high school at the time. And he asked his questions, and we went to debates. I met with him, all this stuff. And he actually at one point said, I want to become a Christian. And I said, okay, cool. I ended up giving him a Bible. And then immediately when that happened, his parents found out. His parents were staunch atheists, and just put him on lockdown, lock and key, wouldn't let him leave the house to come to church specifically.
Okay.
Like this is someone I know. Didn't want any. So yeah, I mean, there's pressure like that. They can be people. Do people indoctrinate? Yeah, but everyone's indoctrinating in my mind. Everybody is preaching. Everybody's teaching their truth. I think there's a proper way of doing that. I prefer to sit with my kids, have conversations with them, answer their questions. And you can tell by your child and the stuff they're saying whether they're actually conceptualizing these things or not.
Right.
So my youngest son right now has this thing, for some reason, I have no idea why, that every time somebody mentions something about like destruction or death or something, he'll like come into the conversation from the corner and be like, but they can't destroy God. And I'm like, well, that's true, right? Like, he's like really, he's a passionate, aggressive sort of kid. And he, like, if he hears something about like deaths, like someone dying, he'd be like, but they can't kill God. Or like, you're not stronger than God. Like it's like his response is always something that has to do with like, nobody can say anything to God because God's like ultimately, I don't know, right, superior or something. Like I'll be like, this is my house. Like I'll tell him something like, this is my house. So I come up with the rules, and he'll be like, but you can't say something to God. Like it's like, well, you're right, I can't. But that's like a different conversation, you know. So based on that, I can know kind of where and how much he's conceptualizing of things. And then based on that, I can have conversations properly.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't ask that for like I asked that for like a kind of a strange reason. I'm trying to like think about what different people think like religious settings will do for people, right? So for example, like the main example I think of is I had to go to church with my mom last Sunday for
Christos honesty.
Yes. And
Priester.
we were there from about like 8 to about 12, and like I didn't understand what was going on. I wasn't really paying too much attention. I was exhausted for most of it. I just wanted to go to sleep. And then we left at 12, and then the next day, I asked my mom like, what was I even there for? Like, you know, I just don't really care about most of this stuff, right? And she's like, oh, you were there. You were like, it was like, I think the exact words were, it was like unconsciously getting into you. I was like, oh, okay, like, am I supposed, like, what am I supposed to take away from that? Like, am I supposed to like how does she think that, like, how does she think that like Christianity is being given to people like unconsciously? Like, probably not, right? Like, that's not a thing that people actually think. So it was kind of weird for me to be like the whole reason, and it makes me feel worse because the entire like the reason why I was just forced to be like really tired for no reason was explicitly for that, like that in my view wasn't even like well thought out, right? But like I just couldn't be asked to have that conversation because she just thinks that like all this, any sort of like resistance to what she thinks about her religion is like rude. So I just back off immediately.
Yeah.
So
no, I get that. I just look, man. I would in my household. I mean, again, for me, I have age appropriate conversations with my kids. So like I remember, I don't know if I explained this a little bit of time ago. Not today, but on a previous stream, I spoke about, I was watching a video from an atheist. I forget who it was, but I wasn't aware that my kids were actually around me listening to the same video I was listening to. And then the guy in the video said, God doesn't exist for this reason. And I think it was my daughter. She goes, but God does exist. And I was like, well, yeah. I was like, okay, look, I think God exists and you think God exists. I was like, but this individual doesn't think God exists. And she's kind of like looking at me like, confusion. And then she goes, but God does exist. And I Okay, so age appropriate, right? Like if
Yeah,
she
fair enough.
is not at a place, right? She's 7 years old and she's not at a place where she can, and she's not around atheists. Like my community, generally speaking, are individuals who are Christians, or
Right.
at the very least, they believe in God. Like even though they're not Christians, like culturally or something like that, right? Like there's and plus even the atheist wouldn't come have a conversation with my 7-year-old about God's non-existence.
Yeah.
Right? Even like my atheist friends wouldn't do that. But so again, it's age appropriate where I sit and I go, okay, can you conceptualize this? Let's talk about it. Let me expose you to this information. And then we'll go from there. So like I would prefer for my kids to learn about atheist arguments from me. I think I can do a pretty good job articulating atheist arguments to them. And I'll probably do that once I realize that they're ready to actually be able to follow the train of thought and stuff. And not, for it not to be like the conversation that happens with my youngest son, right? Any conversation turns into, but you can't say that to God. It's like, okay, we're not getting anywhere. Hey, there's some questions for you. Arnold's asking, are your parents believers? Do they attend weekly services?
Okay. This is a harder one. My dad is one of those people who says that you have to I think he puts it like this, he says to me, you have to believe in something, right? He's one of those sorts of people. He definitely doesn't self-declare as a Christian though. My mom does. She's part of the Ethiopian Orthodox. But she doesn't go every week though. She goes like once in a while. She brings me like once or twice a year. But that's about it really.
She takes you for the special days.
Sometimes she just randomly bring me one week and get me to talk to like so my godfather runs sounds weird, but he's like
In charge of.
yeah, I'm trying to think of the name, but the name is evading me. But
He's a deacon or bishop?
I forget. He's basically one of the higher ups of the church, right?
Okay.
And so last year, actually maybe last year, 2 years ago, we went there during the summer one time. And these services are long, which is the reason why I just hate going there in general. They're minimum 3 hours long, and which tires me out.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And so at the end, she got me to talk to him, and it was like I was already out by then. I was already like I already told her I didn't really believe in this sort of stuff, but she got me to talk to him anyway. And then we had like a very long conversation I just couldn't be asked for most of the time. And he like the funny part is he said that, have you read The Case for Christ yet? Wait, no, sorry, wrong book. He said, have you read Mere Christianity yet? And he's like, well, are you aware of C.S. Lewis? I'm like, yeah, I'm slightly aware of C.S. Lewis. And he said, yeah, you should probably go and read that Resurrection Arguments, right? But he hadn't known that I was like in these sorts of spaces for a while before then. I didn't tell him that because imagine trying to explain that one. But yeah, that's like the last time I spoke to him. Parents like by your standards, my parents aren't really that involved. Even my mom will definitely tell you that she is, but she doesn't go every week. She doesn't go that often. So yeah, it's just that I ask you that because with what mom said about like it unconscious, it's just weird phrasing, but it unconsciously going into you or whatever. It makes me think about like is a similar sort of idea going into like infant baptism, to where
It
like
could be.
the person is just like the person has no idea what's going on. They're just being baptized, and they're suddenly being like something is happening to them to make them like in part of the in group or whatever.
Yeah, I
So
wonder if
maybe,
it's
I don't know.
at most I would say, like, if she's like really, really wrong, I would say she's just being a mom and she cares for you.
Right.
She wants that for you, right?
That's what I interpret anyway.
Yeah. Or it could be that there's some kind of a teaching within the Ethiopian Orthodox Church that I'm not aware of.
No idea.
That I'm not aware of, that would be like there's some kind of a working with your infant baptism is the continuous preaching of the word, which is going to bring about some kind of a fruit or something. That could be the case. The thing is that like I have a different experience than you, in the sense that I went to the Apostolic Church, the Armenian Apostolic Church, pretty regularly throughout my life, and like I just didn't believe, not necessarily consciously, and like in the sense of like I would say I was a practical atheist. Like I thought God existed, but that was about it. And then when I started thinking about these things critically and seriously, and I was like, cool, I think this is true. I became a Christian. I was like, I'm not going to keep my kids in ignorance like that. Like I'm going to expose them to all the sides of this stuff, because I don't want them just to kind of flow through it, like just be in church or whatever like that. I mean, obviously they're in church because I'm in church, but like I said, age appropriate conversations are had. It's like, I would completely be fine with, and I probably will, hand my kids books on atheism when they're 14, 15, 16 years old, and be like, read through this and tell me what you think. Or, hey, let's sit down and watch this debate together, and I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Imagine.
No, I'm dead serious. Like I want to do that stuff.
Honestly, that I kind of respect that. But like these are sort of things that like I watch definitely on my own. Like all like out of every single like group I'm in, like nobody knows that I do this sort of stuff in my own time. You know? And it's just long to be talking to people about this. That I definitely know anyway. So like it's kind of cool that you're in a sort of environment where you can be like, oh, let's watch this thing, you know.
Yeah.
That has this sort of I don't even know what to call it, but you know what I mean. This sort of topic, like you wouldn't. It's not a thing that I can really go about doing. So respect to you, I guess.
Yeah. No, I understand that. And look, I'm around at times. I'm around people who are like traditional Armenian folks who just like believe in God because you're Armenian and it's what you do.
Right.
Right. And then I'll actually like, sometimes I'll play devil's advocate and I'll act like the atheist, and I'll give them arguments. I'll give them arguments for atheism. And like, I know they don't know what's going on, because they believe because of cultural reasons. That's it. And I do that because I want to challenge them. Right. Like I want to challenge them to take their Christianity seriously. And that's why I want to bring the opposing views. Right.
No, but see, it sounds bad, I guess, but like I feel like most people that I know anyway believe for those exact reasons, like the cultural ones I'm talking about. Like they have these.
Yeah. That's
and
probably
these,
true.
and
I
these, and
wouldn't
these groups,
disagree with that.
yeah, but I would just like, I don't know, I can't be bothered to talk to these people about this sort of thing, where they would need to like know like loads of background knowledge about like philosophy or religion or whatever to even begin having the conversation. Especially in like my case where I'm younger than most of those people, and if I do that, I'd be considered rude or something.
Correct. There's a cultural thing here.
Yeah, so it's just not a thing that I would bother doing. So
Yeah, again, I because we're in different places in life, and then I like my life is very like open and public, I would say, to the work that I do, like if I go to a soccer game, and I remember seeing someone at a soccer game, my son was playing it, and I saw a guy that I knew, like I recognized him. I was like, man, I know this guy from somewhere. And he said the same thing to me. And then we figured out we went to high school together. Like I was like 2 years, I was like 2 years older than him. And he goes, man, so what are you up to now? Like, it's always weird.
Well, good luck explaining that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always weird when I hear that question. So I tell him, well, I do apologetics and I speak at different churches, and this guy did not know me as a Christian, guaranteed. And I know usually whenever I'm talking to people like that, they're like, at the back of your mind, they're like, wait, they ask you to go and speak in church? Like, you're the guy that's speaking at church. Oh,
it sounds like disrespect, but I see what you mean.
But, right, like it's pretty public is what I'm saying. So I can bring up some of these conversations in a more I guess, open environment, you could say,
Yeah.
even in family and stuff. And it's a bit different with family. Like with my family, maybe it's a lot different. Like my conversations with my dad are very different than my conversations with other folks. And I gotta sometimes watch it because I don't want to, because in some situations I am younger and I'm quite a bit younger for me to sit there and say, hey, you need to believe this X, Y, and Z. I mean, there's different ways I can articulate that, and that's an age thing. It's a culture thing where, like, for example, I'll give you an example. Conversations with my dad will generally be like, because he just doesn't even accept Protestantism. Because he's like, Armenians shouldn't be that. They should be apostolic. And so I tell my dad, I go, but you're not even apostolic. Like your views about God do not agree with the apostolic church. Because my dad has this like weird, like gravity is like some pantheistic kind of weird kind of thing. Like the universe is sort of God and stuff. There's these forces and stuff. And I'm like, well, the apostolic church doesn't believe that. Like, so you're telling me I'm not apostolic, but neither are you. So notice there the conversation doesn't become between me and my dad or what I believe and my dad believes. It becomes between what my dad believes and what the official teaching of the church is, the apostolic churches. Because he's the one that's saying you should be apostolic or whatever. So in that sense, it's not offensive or something like that. But in other situations, it very well could be offensive. But I get it. I get what that's like. And I just generally, again, for me, is I don't want people to think they're Christians and they're really not Christians. And then I want Christians, if someone is a legitimate Christian, I want them to know why they believe whatever it is that they believe. I think somebody can legitimately have a belief and that belief to be a true belief. And they just take it based on authority or whatever like that. Like, I think that's possible. Or else we're just going to claim that nobody really knows anything.
Okay, fair enough.
On any subject, by the way, not just religious belief.
Okay.
Right, like
I
physics.
can see that one. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, exactly. I was going to bring that up as well.
Yeah.
That was going to be the first thing I say. And drawing blanks here. What was I going to say something? I mean, I guess I said all the things about Durban I wanted to say. The Craig video after was alright.
Which one was this? This is Craig's.
With Alex O'Connor. That conversation immediately afterwards.
You know, man, I really like Alex.
He's fine. I don't know. Like,
and I don't just like him because he's British, by the way. Like
he used to be one of my favorites in like 2018, and I just stopped.
He's a smart young dude.
Yeah, I agreed. Yeah. I mean, like, he seemed like it seemed like one of those obviously he's running a podcast, right? And so he's there to like platform Craig.
Yeah, he's not debating.
Yeah, exactly. So they made it a little bit better to watch, because if it was like a back and forth conversation, like in debate form, it would have been a bit annoying.
Correct. But I think he's held his own. I've seen him on like the Unbelievable podcasts. I think he held his own with Frank Turek. And I say that because he's a young guy, and it could be very intimidating for a young guy going up against the debate with someone who's significantly older.
I can see that. Man.
And he doesn't get phased, which is really cool. Articulates himself really well. I think when he had Craig on, and they were talking about the Kalam cosmological argument, it was a bit more. It was a little less interviewee, you could say.
Well, I kind of forgot about that part. Most of the part that I remember now is the resurrection bit, where they were talking about arguments for the resurrection. I kind of forgot about the Kalam part, because I'm too used to hearing that from Craig.
Yeah.
I feel like I probably skipped it actually. Knowing me, I probably did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the resurrection bit was alright. Um, there wasn't another video on that, was there?
I don't think he's
It was just
done.
those
I
two.
don't think he's done another conversation with.
No. I'm talking about on your end, in your
No,
video. Which one? That wasn't no.
no, that not last Wednesday. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Because that was quite long. That was like an hour, maybe an hour and a half of you going through that in total.
Great.
I'm
I
not
should
sure
take
though.
this time. I should take this time to just ask people if there are videos that you would like to see me respond to. Like seriously, guys,
There's the promotion.
we have a Discord. You can be in the Discord and post it in there and be like, hey, can we respond to this? And that's all in the description box. You can go to the Discord group through there. You can email it to me at info@apologiacenter.com. You can direct message me on Instagram. So there's multiple ways you can say, hey, I came across this video. I say that because it's like it kind of makes you guys like a research team. And I can't sit there and watch YouTube videos all hours of the day trying to find videos I need to respond to. And neither would I want to do that.
Yeah.
But so the more people and sometimes folks find very interesting stuff and send it my way. And I go, yeah, I'd watch that and talk about it. So help a brother out. Okie dokie. Hey, we've been on for 3 hours.
Have you? Oh no.
Hey, we're making up.
I'm exhausted though. So.
We're making up for tomorrow. For yesterday. Yesterday we didn't have a live, so
I was confused. Yeah, but I wouldn't have been able to watch it anyway because I was ill. So
yeah, that's fine. I think we'll end it here.
Yeah,
because 4:04 p.m. here. It's probably, what time is it there?
It's 4 past midnight, man. I'm so tired.
Oh man, go to sleep. Go to sleep. Thanks, Jerome. Thanks for calling in, man.
Yeah, cool.
Appreciate it, especially after that one caller. That YouTube's probably gonna flag me for racist stuff.
Future advice. Surely there must be a way, right, for you to like make sure that the person is like not trolling you before they show up on your stream.
I gotta see. I gotta see on how there probably is for me to hear them.
I'm not sure. Because
there's no way I can
have them on the side,
monitor it. They are on the side, but I can't hear them.
Yeah, you can't hear them before you bring them on. Right?
No, like once I move to my next scene, and then their audio turns on. So it like just automatically mutes it. But there might be a way. I just got to do some more research into that. But once this video processes, I'm pretty sure I can go in there and snip that section out. So, but I definitely do not. I definitely do not want to get a YouTube thing. Yeah. It's just something someone else says.
Indeed.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in, dude.
Yeah. I might be back some other time to talk about something else. So.
Yeah, but by the way, can you get your Arsenal team to do something? Poke them with a stick or something?
Oh, dude, it's actually so bad. 3 draws in a row. It's so bad.
Really hoping they win.
We're actually throwing. This is crazy.
They have to beat Man City on Wednesday.
You know, if we
Wednesday?
I actually think hold on, let me find out. Yeah, it's definitely the next game.
Yeah, I know that.
Today.
Tomorrow, 12 p.m.
Okay. Midweek. Yeah, I fully think if we lose that, the league's over.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Because I can't see Man City losing.
Like specifically, if we lose, like other outcomes are like fine-ish. Like a draw is like still kind of a problem. But if we lose, it's kind of just over at that point.
Correct.
So, yeah.
How about Aston Villa, man? They won today again.
Wow. See what the bad thing is, right? Most of the other Arsenal games are actually kind of difficult-ish. Like if you think about like how good those teams are on paper, right? You probably think about those matchups as kind of difficult.
Mm.
Like Chelsea is right after, and obviously Chelsea been kind of bad for the whole year, but you wouldn't put it past them to suddenly just become good for no reason.
Correct.
Because it happened that one year that Leicester won the league, and Hazard did literally nothing the whole year, and then just ended Tottenham's run, and won them the league. So, and that's all I'm thinking about right now. But the City game comes first, and we need to not lose
Well,
that.
Tomorrow I shall be cheering not only for Liverpool to win.
Wait, who are
Against
Liverpool playing?
the Hammers. We're playing West Ham.
Oh,
That'll be a tough
West Ham
game.
made that one as well.
That one's at 11:45 my time.
Okay.
And Man City Arsenal is at 12. So I'll probably have like a split
Wait,
screen.
hold on. What's the time now for you? Like right now?
It is 4:08
Okay. So you're
p.m.
You're 8 behind me then. Okay,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, so we get early morning, man. I do wake up at 4:45 for games, so
Yeah. I can't stop laughing at that. That's so good. 4 in the morning.
Don't tell us where you are, man. He said I'm in the shower listening, but I stopped and dried my hands just to say European soccer.
Of course. Ban him. He deserves a ban.
Where's my
Ban
boo?
him.
I have a boo thing here. Oh man, I gotta
Sound the board.
I have a boo. I gotta get a boo thing. Americans, man, ignore them. Well, okay. So Jerome is an atheist, or is he converted yet?
Yeah. Okay. I definitely converted in the last hour. Yep.
Hey, there's something we can snip.
Oh no! I'm
gonna cut that out and turn it into a short.
Wait.
Jerome converted.
Oh man.
You said it.
Yeah, you got me there. Unfortunate.
Your sarcasm
yeah,
let you down.
What the weird thing about that, right, is that when I specifically talk to people of like a certain religion, maybe it's not just me. I hope it's not just me, but like after the conversation, the person will be like, "Oh yes, this person will convert in like X many years." I'm like, "Oh, okay." They like I've heard that like a million times from other
Yeah.
people. So, like I hope to view those as jokes, but some people mean it like actually, which is kind of weird to me. But
Yeah, well, I'll phrase it differently. I'll just say I hope you convert.
that's the correct phrasing.
But I don't have a guarantee. That's partly because I'm not all knowing. The other thing is, by the way, it's very interesting. I think a lot of people say that because they think it's just a matter of information. They're like, oh, if this guy figures out this information and he learns about this information, he will convert. And I frankly don't believe that because I think there's a lot more that goes into it, both theologically and you can say epistemically or whatever like that.
Well, when somebody says something like that, they usually mean when this person will read something, right?
Yeah.
And like in that case, yeah, sure, I think so. But if it's definitely more direct, like most like non-theists will be like, if I see this thing, I will convert or whatever. Like if these contingent set of things happen, I will convert, right? In those cases, it's a bit like it's way easier to be like, yeah, sure, this person will reliably convert if this other thing happens. So I can accept that for if people say he needs this information to be read to him. I can accept that not being enough, but like.
Yeah, but like I know, like one of my favorite books on the philosophy of religion is written by an atheist. Like it's like arguments for God's existence. The issue is that people think that there aren't people out there that know this stuff and they have heard the arguments and just they don't believe.
I was going to say that next, by the way.
Yeah, like it's just once you start reading folks and then you realize. Like you can read someone's book and think that they're Christians the whole time, and then at the end of the book, find out that the person's an atheist. Then you go, wait, this guy knows this information really well. I mean, well enough to write a book. maybe even better than a lot of Christians, but he doesn't believe. And so concluding in something like, well, we're going to give Jerome 3 months or something, it's a bit silly to me. I mean, I have hopes, but I hope everyone I talk to becomes a Christian anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what Paul said in the Bible, right? He said, because there's a scene in the book of Acts where the guy says to Paul, do you expect me to become a Christian in this time where he's had the conversation? And he says, not only you, but everybody else in this room. Which I love. He's like, dude, my cards are on the table. I'm not hiding anything here. It's like, you're not the only guy who becomes a Christian. It's everyone around you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
What was I saying here? Yeah, true. I'm you can clip this just for jokes. Yeah, I'm definitely a closet Christian. Definitely true, 100%. Yep. Fair enough.
When he said that you're not taking any chances, I think he's referring to why am I forgetting this? That's okay. I'm having slowness of mind issues. I forgot.
I have no idea what he could be referring to there.
Yeah, no. In regards to taking the chances, I'm poor Sapper they will remember this right now. He's gonna remind us.
No, I do tend to enjoy streams like this. Apart from the things from atheists I'd like to watch normally. Primarily because of something that ironically Doug said a lot a while ago was integrate yourself into communities with people who disagree with you, right? And in the case in the example he gave was go back to your churches, right, that you used to be in, but I never felt I never felt part of the church that my mom used to bring me to. I kind of just I can't really be able to go to actual churches, right? So I kind of just spend some of my time in these sorts of areas, just to see what's going on, what other people think.
Well, that's good, I think.
And it helps me out because I can do whatever I want while I'm listening in, right? So
correct. Yeah. By the way, it is. Carl reminded us it's Pascal's wager. I'm being a bit slow today. In regards
that
to
seems weird. Wait, how would that relate to me being a closet Christian, though?
Well, he said he's not taking any chances.
Oh, right.
I think that's the wagering aspect. That's I'm not going to take a chance.
Okay. Maybe I'm too slow as well. Maybe I'm just too tired for this right now.
Okay. I think finally we'll say goodbye.
Yeah,
sure. I do have to go.
Right.
Thanks, Rom.
Yeah, see you later.
Okay. Sorry. Wrong button. Thanks a lot, everybody. This has been fun, and Jerome especially for calling in and having a very fun, multi-topic conversation. Was great. Today's Tuesday, which means tomorrow is Wednesday, which means tomorrow night we will be streaming, and we will be doing a reaction video. Like I said, if you guys have some videos you'd like us to react to, send them our way. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care, and God bless.